Trendsetter, I got style for you. Ain't seen you at the top, it's been a while for you. Big you up and they look down on you. Take one loss, no one's around for you. I won't stop, no, 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 no. I won't stop, I won't stop. I won't stop, no, 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 no. I won't stop, won't stop. Yeah. I'm so handsome. All in Carmine's with my Benz, I'm so fancy. No romancing. Got my baby and she right, she make you vanish. No time to play, got book dates. Had a plan, only had to wait. Always knew I'd make a way. Send a bill, they send a pay. Keep it real, keep the record straight. Keep it real, no time to fake. All authentic in my own lane. I am me till I'm in the grave. Trendsetter, I got style for you. Ain't seen you at the top, it's been a while for you. Big you up and they look down on you. Take one loss, no one's around for you. I won't stop, no, 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 no. I won't stop, I won't stop. I won't stop, no, 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 no. I won't stop, won't stop. Ooh, never panic. Get a worry, send it up and then advantage. Yeah, I can't stand it. Out of all the way you move and see you scrambling. On offense, no defense. Stood strong, no weakness. Used to say I wouldn't beat this. Now they wish they could beat this. Tables set, not tables turn. Guys playing, don't say a word. Know the price, cause I know my worth. My time, get what I deserve. Trendsetter, I got style for you.
Well, now is as good a time as any. Sorry I'm 5 minutes late this evening, guys, but word of mouth, we're back. It's Monday night. Oh, exciting stuff going on here. Went in, got to my advisor today, got some classes registered for, got to start back up in Monday, man. There's no rest for the wicked, as they say. But nothing but good news, excitement coming. Now, tonight's stream, look, I'm seeing question after question after question all over the board. Hey, Jeff, how you doing, bud? We'll play yours tonight, too. But all of the questions are from, and in the term, oh, you're right, it is Thursday. My bad, jeez. Monday's when I start classes. Thursday's the night it is. But we're seeing questions. We got a bunch of new people with PGA machines. So I want to go through some basics, maybe basics of care of your new purchase, kind of thing like that for one. Two, then I want to go through some of the basics of GoldenTeeTV. And when I'm saying basics, like straight basics. Terminology that you're going to hear from GoldenTeeTV players so we know. I actually spent some time reading through some old comments and shit, right? But when I looking through old comments on YouTubes and things, a lot of the questions are from people who are playing GoldenTeeTV that were golfers, and some of our terminology does not match up with what the professional golf terminology would be. So let's get those things identified for them. We'll name all of the shots and what they do, and then we'll talk a little bit on how to execute some of them. But so the first thing we want to do is let's talk about the terminology when we're talking about our shot shaping and things of that nature. So when I'm speaking to you guys, hey, Joel, I don't have anything for the height differences. And it's really hard for me to go back in and get the heights. Actually, I might have an old Excel, but I don't want to trust it because I think it was from circa 2019, which might have changed on a lot of these. There might have been small updates to clubs through the time, and we don't have a height meter on the new clubs. On the new machines. But back to it. So when we're talking, if you guys can see my hand here, right? It's going to be really good. But so when we say one of the biggest things you're going to hear is a 180, right? Now, a lot of the definitions that we define for shots are going to be a combination of a forward swing between the 1, 2, 3 and using the A, B, C, right? So obviously that makes sense. If I say in A1, we're going to pull back to A, we're going to say pull back to 1. Pretty easy. If I say a full, what do we mean? If I say a chush, what do we mean? And those are the kind of things we want to cover tonight. So the first thing we're going to look at here is 180s. 180 degrees You're matching up your forward swing with the inverse to your backswing. So if I was to pull here, a 180 would be here. So you're looking at making a straight line between two parts. What do I have to kind of signify a straight line? I don't have a straight edge. But, oh well, we'll use our hand and come up with it that way. So 180. Take your point here and point on the backswing, line it up. They should be directly inverse. So if you were to fold everything down the middle between the tip of the 2 and the tip of the B, that would be where the inverse is. So now we got that done. Thumb shot, and a thumb shot can easily be done with a no pull, but the general term, a thumb shot, is a no pullback shot going in a direction. You're removing the backswing variable of it and going straight with a full swing. Now, inherently, the game does do some weird things with that. I'm not sure if we look at a YouTube of a thumb shot, but we'll always show a pullback on it, which is kind of weird, and it kind of doesn't make sense, and I haven't quite equated everything in my head, but a no pullback shot technically has a pullback when the code reads it. The effect isn't what you'd think, because if we pull back straight on a shot and then aim to the 1, it will curve. But if I thumb to the 1, it doesn't have a curve. So I don't know how it works out with that. And I would love to delve deeper into the code itself so I could know. But once again, that's going past any piece of knowledge that any of us really need to get better than average at the game. Now, my next one you're going to hear when I say a baby cut. Now, one of the things that one of the commenters on YouTube said, well, it confused me because you said cut shot, and a cut in real golf is left to right. Or for a right-handed player, this is going to say it's left to right. Oh, we're doing good, Ryan. How about yourself, my man? But when we talk at Golden Tee, if I say a baby cut toward the C, let's say, right? Where cuts are going to be the same way, same term, whether you're going left or right. Yeah, I could say a baby draw, but you don't really hear that much when we're playing and talking about it. Oh, giddy up, Brado. That's a great thing to do here, guys. Don't hesitate to get your name in there and somebody get some friends requests out. We got no limits now, or at least I'm not at the limit anymore of friends. So don't hesitate. Shoot word of mouth, a friend invite. Marc Muklewicz. You'll have a better time spelling out word of mouth as a nickname. So now baby cut, though, if I say a baby cut toward the C side, right? Or a baby hook or a baby draw, I'm going to pull back. For me, it is between the middle tip of the B and the outside point of the B. If I'm doing a baby fade or a baby cut the other way, we're going to be the other way. In between the tip of the the tip of the B to the left and the tip of the B in the middle, that area here, that definition right in there, under 45-degree pullback, it looks kind of similar. It's about, let's say, a 35-degree pullback, but the degrees aren't going to matter as much when we're talking about it. We just want something less than half, and more than straight back, if that makes sense. And at any time, if you guys don't hear something making perfect sense, let me know. We'll dive deeper into it. Then if we say a half cut, well, the half cut is basically the middle line in between the A and the B and the B and the C. So where my fingers are, the overhead cam should be helping you guys out a little bit more here. But in between those, now, this terminology is going to be misused. And this is where my knowledge is going to help you guys understand a little bit better. So for decades of us playing, we would say, oh, we did a full A1, right? So what we did was we got it as close to the choose club as possible either way, a full cut being in there. But we were dead wrong for decades because the game only reads to the middle tip of the A and the middle tip of the C. That is the max pullback you can have. So by pulling outside of that, all you're doing is that you're giving the game the information that you want it to be a max cut shot or a max pullback directionally. That's going to be a full pullback. a full. Now, you'll hear people say hitting a full shot, like, oh, I just hit a full. That's telling you they pulled back full directioning and went straight. If I say a full and then give it some sort of qualifier like a full and I hit it about 1.5, okay, cool. That should make sense to you now. But when you're pulling back the club, if I want it to have the full cut on it, all I have to do is make sure I'm outside of the middle tip of the A and the middle tip of the C. And the same thing goes with the 1 and the 3. Even though the shot meter shows us that we went outside of it, not reading anything else, so the game is playing it. If I hit it here, it's pretending like I hit it dead to the 1. Now, there's some other caveats in that as well that we'll discuss as we get a little bit more advanced to it. What other ones? We got a no pullback, a thumbie, hammer. When you hit it here, a hammer just means you hit it hard. Generally, a hammer needs to get up to the max ball readings. Now, the max ball readings to the dead straight tip of 2, it is 142 with a pullback. Without a pullback, it's 123. So what you can see by that is that a pullback's adding roughly 19 miles per hour to any swing. It stays pretty consistent, but it's hard to test. And this is how we know I'm not data mining. All we know is that we're doing this off of real play and testing, because I can't possibly tell you what the max hammer shot to the 1 or the 3 is without a pullback. It's just not a possible shot really for us to hit. My assumption would be, since that the tip of the 2 with a pullback is 142, and then just inside of the A, maybe to the O or the ends on both of these, it maxes out at 158. Okay, we'll get to the chush, and it's actually a chush, Brado. It's a push chip is why it's called a chush. I believe Jeff Harlow, St. Louis, longtime old school world champion Jeff Harlow from decades ago, came up with the shot, and I believe he got to name it. I mean, maybe someone else came up with it, but I think he came up with the name. It is a chush. So CHUSH. We'll put it in the chat just so you have it. And we'll cover that as well. That's getting a little bit more advanced, but yet still. Another newer one that's come to fruition lately is the click chip. It's a shot that I could master pretty quickly or get good at very quickly. It is so not conducive to my style of play. I think the positives would be easily weighed out because of the slowdown of pace for me when trying to be too precise with it. But now we got the basic shots down. With the basic readings, we'll get more in depth with it as you guys have questions to it. So let's just get in. We're going to get into a round. I want to see if I got any glory games here. Ryan, was the LSAT not hard? I hear from people it's hard as shit, but it's my perfect kind of test, man. The logic, reason, deduction, critical thinking, all of it it actually makes me hyped up with it. It makes me super excited, man. It makes me super excited. Let's take a look. Let's jump in. We'll play the event just so I can give us a good look at that and kind of make everything a little mixed there. But those are really the basic shots that we have in good thing. Now, see, Ryan, I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm going to be done in half the time. If it's 35 minutes for, let's say, 30 questions or 40 questions, dude, that's like way more than I need on a multiple choice. Way more than I need. But I really actually enjoy test takings. By looking at it, the ACTs and SATs might be a harder test. But again, I have to actually finish one of the practice tests. Like, I'll probably pay and take a few of it. All right, what do we have for the event tonight? Oh, I'm not got this. Trust me. The problem is that I have to go back and I screwed around a lot in my younger years, and I got some things to finish. But while I'm finishing it, I'm going to get 2 bachelors out of it, a computer science and my business management. I mean, I screwed off a bit. Yeah, you mean past classes. Okay, so Jeff, the click chipping, I'm not going to go into detail on because I don't click chip. But click chipping is going to be a variety of different clubs. You might want to change your click chip depending on your distance away. And I think I would probably extrapolate a bit on that a bit more. Maybe I'll start getting into it. All right, so the shot I'll hit here, though, is just a thumb shot, right? Now, what your biggest part with your thumb shots, or a lot of people don't like 2 thumbs, this could be just a no pullback shot. You'll see me do that a bit as well. I use those for different purposes, but typically they're the same shot. Large muscle group on your arms, though, leads you to not be as accurate with it. When you have micro twitch muscles on your thumbs, even though it's 2 variables working together, they're micro twitches, you're going to be a lot more accurate. Your flubs with it, though, on either one of these are going to be exaggerated because I'm not having to come back. Yeah, oh, that's very similar. And the click chip is very similar to that, except you're bringing a variable into play that if you're not getting your one click or your clicks back straight, it's going to actually be a detriment to you. All right, so, but thumb shot, your ranges. I fully implore you to not be doing these shots at less than 78 miles per hour because you start seeing dip-offs of distances that aren't conducive to the pace that you were going at before. Meaning, let's say, between 78 and 105, let's say, on a no pullback, it's a very linear relationship to your yards per mile per hour, dependent on club, obviously. But as you drop below, you start getting a dramatic drop-off, and the rates are different. I haven't gone through and calculated it because it's just too monotonous and yeah, not fun to do. So, but I just know I want to be 78 miles per hour or above, and really, if I'm saying it, 80 should be most people's minimum. That's going to be something you calculate yourself what's comfortable. Like I play with people that can hit 110 on their thumb shots. I could, but if I do that, I'm not accurate. So it's just about getting that snap down. So for me, 80 to 90 is a good range. Here, I just want about an 85. Fine, in that range. And we'll get into the chush shot a little bit more tonight as well, too. I think that's a great way that'll be a great way to end. It is more of an advanced concept, and really you should be working on the basics first before that. Now, I am going to hit, if I was going to tell you guys something right now, if I say I'm going to hit a high C3 here, but I want to keep it a bit inside of the 3, not a full C3. That's a little confusing by what I said, but what I said, like about fulls, if I say a full C3, that's telling me I pulled it back all the way to C or inside or out to select club, but to the tip. I don't like the left. I don't see a need to go left. I'm doing pretty adequately from here. So now we're going to back this. Oh, we did already. We already did it. But I'm going to do a high TC3. But if I throw it all the way to 3, it's not going to come back enough. So I'm going to go with a full C. Hey, Mark. And then I'm going to get it inside of the 3, maybe 2.5-ish. And I didn't need the high T. That's good. Now, we're in the rough. So now this is going to be my standard chip with a pullback. I'm a 5-iron chipper is going to be my starting club. And I rhythm chip, right? So it's all one motion. I'm back and forward all in one. You'll see a lot of people with the meticulous, pull it back, stop, and then walk up and thumb it. Works the same way, but like I said, the pace of play with that, I'm not that accurate with it. So I like to do this. Now, for me, it's a feel game, and I'll adjust my pullback slightly, but for the most part, if you're pulling back and chipping, you should find a spot Like, let's say there, I bring the club head back to the knee of my player. In the similar ways like of click chipping, you could just go count clicks and get it to a spot and then have a visual reference to match that up all of the time. Again, personal preference. Is there a better or worse way? I would say the way that I do it is probably the least conducive to a new player. Because then you're trying to adapt to feel that you would have had to gain over years and years of playing. If you get to spots with clicks, then you know what your forward swing is going to be. And I adjust a bit because you do have a lot of play in the distance that will go in. So it doesn't have to be an exact number and an exact pullback for you to make a chip. It's just got to be in the roundabout area, right? So again here, I'm going to thumb this, and what you're going to find is that thumb shots are going to be a priority when using the stout balls, right? Well, we haven't talked about the different balls, but we can go into some of the other ones in a little bit. All we need to know about the stout balls is that the win number plays half. It's exactly half. If you're playing PGA, that's the same as the breeze ball as well. So it's half the wind in play. That also affects in and out winds too. So even though the distance on the ball in the menus shows really low, well, you don't ever have a wind in your face, or it's half. So those shots, you're actually going to outdrive a ball with a fuller wind. Now, I know that my 6-wood actually plays a little shorter than it says, or based off the overhead line there, that I need to play it up. If I was playing this with a 9-wood and my marker was showing slightly in front of the hole, this would be a bite shot or even a low tee bite shot. So where people say clubs are broken, I think that's an inaccurate statement. To me, a club being broken means that it's not consistent. It doesn't do the same thing if you do the same pullback or the same shot. There isn't a club in Golden Tee that is broken. They play differently based off of our understanding of the overhead marker. Now, to my understanding, the overhead marker is, someone wants to say it's 100 miles per hour. No, it's taking an aggregate of all of the distances in there. So where some clubs, it is 100 miles per hour, but a club like, okay, so for instance, the club like the 6-wood, it's short of the marker when I hit it, but it's a higher lofted club, so it's closer to, this club just is given an inaccurate distance on the overhead marker. If the club showed as a 225-yard club, which is what I kind of guess it's more like, maybe a 230-yard club, that marker would come down 5 or 10 yards. Which then, if we compare that overhead marker to every other club, you're going to find that the higher lofted clubs are going to land with an 80 to 85-yard shot closer to the line on an overhead marker than, let's say, the driver is. Because that overhead marker shows me 320 something, but my carry distance on that club on a thumb shot is like 270. And you're going to find that as you get the club gets a higher loft, the larger the distance lands with carrying, and the closer it gets to the overhead marker, and sometimes even surpasses it. So again, not broken, just different aspects come into play and don't get used when I don't pull the club back. And we can explain that a bit more, but we're getting just a broad understanding. Hopefully that gives you, Andrew Bennett, Maple Avenue Pub, yes sir. But that will give you that, just so that when you see, you're going to think, wow, my overhead marker was here. You can't look at it like that. You almost have to pretend the overhead marker means something different for each different club that you're playing, because it does. Because we're going to come up with a consistent non-pullback speed, but the distance relationships that we get to the club are different. And that's a feature. That's not a bug. It's not an error. It's just something you have to learn with each club. You can kind of see by the carry distance charts that I've given you how it would affect, but not really. I would love to give you guys a carry distance at 100 miles per hour, But it's freaking impossible, and I don't want to waste that kind of time. Oh, yeah, you would, man. You're probably more than me. I mean, if other than stream, you're definitely more than me. I just don't. I don't get to play much. Now I will definitely step my numbers up. Those are rookie. I'll step them up when we start getting the PGA Home Edition new courses on it. I'll play those quite a bit, and hopefully you guys are here with me when I'm doing it. Now, on this shot, what we want to look at is distance. And how do we get the max distance? Well, high tee for one. That's going to happen. A1s and C3s generally go further, but most of that is after it lands. So if I need to clear an obstacle, an A1 or a C3, even though it can go the longest because that snap, hook, or slice that you're hitting will roll out a lot farther. In general, we don't want to care about the rollout distance when calculating distances on a club because it can be different for every club, for one. Two, you're not trying to use that rollout distance to get over an obstacle, and that's what we want the distances for, is to get over the obstacle. That's where our refinement's going to get. We're making it an exact figure for the majority of our shots. And then you're going to use your skill set and your knowledge and your play more, get better type attitude for the fine-tuning parts of it. But we can get the basics down without really knowing anything. So on this one, I'm going to high tee this. I want more height on this shot, just generally because more height will give you slightly further carry distances. It's not much, but we're expecting this one to be really close to hitting the snow, which we don't want, even though it's fine. So I want to hit, I want to hit a 180. I want to fight the wind a little bit. And I want to shape it back to the right. Only ever so slightly. So my pullback's going to be in the baby cut range, which means my forward swing needs to be in the baby forward swing, the inverse of the baby cut going forward. So I'm going to pull back slightly left of B and hit it slightly right of 2. These kind of shots are going to be where you find your hardest problems. And there's a reason why. One, right-handers going to the right, it's really hard. Like, right-handers generally can hit an A1, no problem. We're going with our body. Nothing to worry about. But to hit to the 3, we can't come across our body because we can't stand there. So we don't get to turn the hips on it. It's all in the hips. It's all in the hips, guys. But we can't turn our hips on that shot. So generally, you'll see when right-handed people are hitting C3s, we're coming way over here so that we can make the shoulder the fulcrum point and have a straight shot and let the large muscle group do all the work. I don't want to stand here and try to hit to 3 because no matter what, I have to come through the ball and then go out that way. It is virtually impossible to get it all the way out to the 3 then because part of the swing is reading forward. It's the little minutia of things that it's going to take you a while to master, but if you have the understanding when you start playing, you can master it correctly. And I'll tell you this, a lot of the topics that I've mastered incorrectly. My chipping is a mess. But for a decade, I was incredible. One of the best chippers out there. I've lost it a little bit over the last few years with the advent of the shot meter because I'm not doing it with feel. I'm trying to manipulate the shot meter rather than just hit the shot that I know how to freaking hit that I've hit a million times. So, straight line, we want to hit the 180 here. Now, 180s are going to give you a better distance. And since I'm going to go off center a little bit to the right, my number on this is going to read higher than 142. The other caveat of reading higher than 142 is this. The straight shot going A3 at 158 is the exact same shot as hitting a B2 at 142. The distance, the rollout, the height, the landing is identical. I know that's confusing, but it really isn't. So what you have to do is you have to start getting a feel for how much of a boost it's giving you, like on the shot meter number, if you really want to understand how to mimic or how to use your opponent's shot to better yours. One of the biggest things I've seen is people that are intent on watching the shot meter, they see that their opponent hit it slightly left at 90, let's say, right? And they missed it slightly left. So he goes, okay, cool. I got to hit it straight to the 2 at 90. And they do it, and then they look and they go, why am I short? Or why am I long? Well, because a 90 straight to the 2 actually equates to like a 94 as you move off center. So while watching the shot meter gives you a great idea on how to adjust your approach to a shot, every angle has a different forward swing speed to match it. So what you have to get good at is recognizing, okay, he hit it 94 to the A or to the tip of the 2 where my finger is with no pullback. He missed it left. So when I curve that back to the center, if I'm hitting it dead straight, I'm going to go, okay, so there was a drop off. I want to hit this ball between 89 and 91. Now, as you play more and get better with your no pullback, you will get that number refined down to a very small part, but it will adjust trackball to trackball. I don't know any of you go to the PGA event, the PGT events. When I go there, my thumb speeds are 3 miles per hour higher instantly. And it's something you have to adjust to at the beginning of the weekend, which it blows my mind. I would think that they're worse with the more play, the sweaty hands, all the bullshit in the air, the alcohol consumption. But it's the opposite is true. That tells me that Russ knows how to keep a ball in working order. And he does. He does a good job with it. So let's hit the shot. And I apologize, guys, if you're watching. I know it sucks when I sit and talk and don't hit the ball. But I really want everybody to understand the basics so that I'm not going over your head and that the stuff that we say the rest of the time we're watching the new courses, let's say, is absolutely usable to you and usable correctly, and you're not getting bad habits in yourself. I have a lot of bad habits. Do as I say, not as I do, is the saying, right? Yeah, thank you, Jared. And hi, Mike. Sorry I didn't say hi. Got my new Bears hats. Got this year's versions. I saw a hat. I got a hat coupon code for a certain hat for some hats, and of course, the ones that the coupon code doesn't work on any of the hats that I wanted, or any of the hats that I bought. And the hats that I wanted were all out of stock because they were older versions of it. I know, tough life. I know. Okay, so let's bear down, baby. It's time to bear down. We're gonna have a year. I can't get too optimistic because of how miserable my White Sox are, but backspin for height, and just so we know this, guys, and I know this for a fact, no spin, medium height. Backspin, highest height. Roll, lowest height. Guess what then? What do we think about bite and release? Same as their counterparts of backspin and roll. That was just a laziness thing. And Jim Z readily admitted it. He said, hey, we had the idea for bite and release. I didn't want to have to code a whole nother shot. So we coded it the same as backspin or roll and just lessen the amount of backspin or roll that it has. That's it, guys. That's it. So the height and everything's the same. All right. Driving range we'll get back into. I should be working with Adam on this soon. The code is still there. Hopefully planning on having it back into the home edition sometime, not with the 23-24 release, but at one point in time, maybe when one of the course updates comes, something like that. All right, so high T, backspin, bite's fine here too. I don't really care. It's not going to affect much rollout. And then slightly left of the B and slightly right of the 2. And I whiffed the ball a little bit, but we got a pretty good 180. We didn't get stuck in the snow. All good. That was really short, though. That should have been maxed out at about 144 by the line. I was hitting maybe 145, and I only hit at 139. So 6 miles per hour off. So that's 4 miles short, let's say, multipliers. And mind you, I'm doing some work through my head. The math is all pretty simple, but it's still a guessing game for us because we don't know what the multiplier is and we don't know an exact degree that we're going to hit. So we're taking visual representations off of it. And I've been using the word a lot lately, but then we're extrapolating what we think the numbers or formulas are. The great news is that Golden Tee is a best guess game, just like golf. I can know exactly what I need to hit or think I know and look. And I do that and miss. I personally think most of our hole-in-ones and hole-outs, most, are because we can't match exactly what we were thinking in our head, and our thoughts in our head were slightly off. The slightly off that we are trying to match it then gave us a hole-out. If that makes sense. Another thumb shot, bite. Now, that would have been a great one to look at to say, okay, my 4-iron shows 180 yards, right? And so on the overhead meter, I think it's 182. But the 4-iron is dramatically shorter than what a 7-iron is to the line. So what I do for myself is I have different club groupings, right? And I'm only going to talk about the standard clubs. You can do this with the hybrids, but I don't want to give you misinformation because I don't play them very often. But it will still follow the same pattern. No, hybrids do not play better out of the rough or anything like that. No things like that in the code. It's just different lofts at different angles and different heights. That's it. So you get just a slightly different way to approach shot. That was a no pullback shot, and notice I'm at 98. For me to get up to 98 with my thumbs, it takes a big jump, and really I lose accuracy too much by doing that, so I don't want to do it. That was still an easy swing with my palm. Now, if you're just starting playing, some of the things to do. Don't use the lob wedge. Get rid of it. As you get better, you're going to get rid of it anyway because there's not a shot you can't accomplish with the sand wedge or G wedge 99% of the time that you can with a lob wedge. It's a wasted club in your bag. It is the worst club in Golden Tee to chip with because if I pull it back slight amounts, it gets high enough in the air that even on something short, you still have to play the wind. And that's something you do not want to have to do while you're chipping. So get rid of the lob wedge. You don't want it in your bag. It's unnecessary. Get a sand wedge or a G wedge and start using that. Get used to doing like a half swing chip if you got to go in between distances. Those kind of things. You'll hate life at first because you're going to have a few. Wow, the 3 went backed up from the top of that green all the way back in the water. Okay. No chushing here. This is just a chip. What my preferred method of chipping is I look at my obstacle in front of me, and this can just be flat ground. But what I want to do on most chips is take the... No, it's not a new event, Tony. I keep thinking it's Monday for some reason. This whole gap of 4 days feels like I went from a Friday to a Monday. No, it's not. This is the same one on Nord. So we're in the same old week. Forget I said anything about new. Which is even better because I don't have to show you guys new shit. We can talk about this. But my philosophy with chipping, mind you, this isn't chushing, this isn't click chipping, but my philosophy with just your normal chip, my standard chip, I want to find the lowest lofted club that will get over the obstacle in front of me. And that's going all the way down to a 5-iron. And I'm gonna pause you for a quick second here. I got a call coming in that I gotta take. So we'll be right back with you. Give me a few moments. So sorry about that, everybody. Okay, so back to it. We're talking about chipping here. Lowest lofted club to get over the obstacle in front of me. Now, traditional obstacles, they're there. The bushes, obstacles. This hill is an obstacle. There's things that we don't call obstacles, though, that are important to know as well. If I have a short chip, an obstacle can be the fringe. Even though it's level, the fringe will change the bounce and change how a ball reacts to a chip. The amount of space between the hole and the edge of the green, that can be an obstacle too. So just to get over the obstacle in front of me, I want the lowest lofted club. My base chipping club is the 5-iron. So if there's no obstacles, then I'm going with my 5-iron. Makes sense? You could use, there are people that use a 4-iron. Some people chip with the 5 hybrid. Doesn't matter. Get comfortable with whatever you use, and these same theories get applied to it as well. So now here, I think I got a pretty decent amount of hill in front of me with a low amount of green to land on. So for this, my goal is to get over the obstacle and get down on the green, right? So I feel like my 9 is good for this. Like I said, my G wedge, I don't want to chip with a lot because the higher the lofted the club, the more a wind can come into play. Now, Stout's kind of eliminated that a bit because it's a 5 mile per hour, barely moving right or left. Height ain't going to change this much at all. Barely moving left to right. And then if we use a little bit of math, if we call 10 the 10 the hypotenuse, we can easily come up with the angles of this as well. To say that, let's say, technically only 7 miles per hour of that. Here, we'll divide that into parts. So if it's, let's say, 5 miles per hour forward, 5 miles per hour to the side to get to that 10 there, then we really only have a 2.5 degree wind moving us left or right. It's a little bit tough, but if you have any little trick knowledge or basic geometry knowledge, you can kind of eyeball it and just get an idea. So I want to barely get it over the edge. I'm going to use my consistent pullback to where I do it, but that's still a feel. So mine isn't an exact science. It's a feel. And my feel was poor there. I did not hit that hard enough. And after hitting that, I could have seen that I could have probably gone down to an 8 or maybe even a 7. Same kind of thing, though. Again, another field type shot. A click chip on that setup, I don't know if would have been possible. Because a click chip with one click back, you get almost 0 height, which is great on level chips or slight hills. But a gigantic uphill, a click chip isn't going to be your friend. So you're going to have to get used to doing those. And again, I'm keeping my thumb shots in between the 80 to 90 range. That looked hot, but I was off to the side. So that was close to about an 82, 80, 81, maybe even an 80. Okay, well, here I was hoping to get a baby cut shot in here, but we got a straight line. We'll just high tee this. I'm not going to pull this back, but I'm worried that my thumbs, even with a high tee, are going to be a little short on the carry distance. So I'm going to smoothie this with my palm. I want to be just under 100, 95 to 100, let's say. And see, that was a little hot. So obviously my logic and my math is a little flawed. I'm out of rhythm too, because I stop and talk. I like to be rhythm, fast, move forward, keep moving, keep moving. So when I slow down like this, I'll shoot bad. If you notice at Worlds, when I was doing CTTP with George beforehand, I was absolutely terrible because I was taking too much time to talk about it. Now, a shot like this will define to you the one number that we really, and I'm sure there's others that I'm missing, but we have one specific number that is extremely important that we are not given at all. Our elevation in compared to the hole. We have a downhill shot, but we have a 4-iron. It's a lower arcing shot, right? With that 4-iron being lower arcing though, and it's dropping way down, it now has the same arc pattern as closer to a 5-iron would, or even a 7. So now we have to kind of play in our head the wind effect that we would have on a 7-iron with this same wind. How much is this going to hold it back? Now, then on top of that, I'm looking at 160 With my 4-iron into an 8 on a level shot, that's probably a hard thumb backspin. But I'm into an 8 with a big elevation drop. Yeah, Jeff, I think we all do. But so here now I go, okay, I would have probably backspun this before, but now I got a wind in my face. So if we follow the flight of the ball, when it's dropping down so much farther, it's almost straight up and down, right? I could, Tony. I've got occasionally, but I've gotten older with the neck stuff. I just have been kind of more subdued, let's say. So here, I'm thinking now, okay, not going to backspin. I'm going to bite it, and I'm going to flip it pretty soft. Now, when you have the ball dropping, and it's not moving forward when it lands, even your bite spin is going to help move it backwards further. So when you have an elevation drop and a wind in your face, well, bite is going to react closer to backspin. And backspin is going to react closer to plus spin backspin. You just got to understand the physics of it a little bit. If it was an outwind, well, the opposite can be true too, because it's going to be moving forward farther when it lands. It has to be a pretty dramatic outwind, though, because in general, your ball's going to decrease velocity as it starts. It's going to lose velocity as it moves forward and gets to the end of it. So, thumb shot, bite, 85. Let's see if it comes back. I hit an 83, which is probably fine. And notice that came back a bit. 4 irons on a flat shot will not move backwards on a bite shot, even into an 8 wind. And that was a great shot that if you were playing behind me now, you saw where I moved the tee to. I had the line great. Well, if I could hit an 84, but move it back on the tee all the way, that goes in every time. And on straight shots are really great to follow. So in a way, when you're playing stouts, the way that you're supposed to play them is very informative to your opponent if they're following. Most people aren't following or following correctly. It's why back for a decade, if typically the higher seed in the tournament would get to choose if they want to go first or second. Against anybody but top 10 players in the world, I wanted to go first because I wanted you to try to do what I was doing and fail. That was it. I wanted you to see what I was going to do and then try to match it. People who I felt were worse than me, I don't think could do that as easily. Again, thumb shot. Did I push it too far? No, that looks great. Now, you see how much that one bit too? Because even with an outwind, when it's going downhill, the outwind's not going to push it as far forward to match the trajectory or to match the inertia of the ball moving with you as it would have if I just had a hammer shot on a level ground. So in general, unless you start getting into 20-mile-per-hour winds, with stouts, you probably won't ever see it. But in general, elevation changes will give you more spin or more spin back to you. The roll and releases don't have as much then. But you'll see that as you get a feel for playing with it. I don't want to give you everything. I want you to just have the tools at your disposal to understand why something did what it did. And I mean, everybody has their theories on it, but most everything that I'm saying, and I'll basically clue you in and throw a little asterisk in there. If something I'm saying is a personal opinion that isn't accepted by the group yet, most of the time my opinions do become accepted by the group eventually once they get their heads out of their asses. I still remember when I said that the 120 shots are a glitch in code and it's nothing else. It's not us doing anything. Dude, I was ostracized and argued with. And then I videoed it and proved it with testing. And it got fixed it took a little while to get it fixed, but it got fixed pretty quickly after that. So now again, we know my overhead marker's a little short. There isn't a club in Golden Tee, though, that with a pullback and a hammer, you can't hit farther than the overhead marker. But just get your feel for what gets you close to it and then adjust off of that. It's going to be a personal feel and a work in progress for most of us because it's still a work in progress with me. It's the best guess estimation. The problem is my best guesses are going to be better than most of yours. So here, 6 wood looks long, but I know it's a shorter club. I'm knocking 5 yards off my overhead. I got to hit this about, pull it back 100, 120, 110, 120. Should be about right. Yeah. Yeah, I've only gone to the right once and I fucked it up really bad. So going to the right can give you a much larger elevation change. And if you go back on based off my last point, it's the one number we don't have. Yeah, brand new one. Thanks, man. I got this one. I got an orange version of it too. But we don't have a number for elevation, right? All it is our best guess. So without a physical number, why would I want to bring something that I have to guess into play? So if I have a choice in Golden Tee, if we play a game of Monty tonight, which I think we will, I want to put I'd rather have a cut shot in than a straight shot from a higher shot because I know my cut shot distances. I can adapt. I'm guessing, obviously, the more you play the course and things, the better the guess will get, but it's still a guess. I'm guessing off of an unknown variable. When if I can get my elevation the same, I know all my variables now. High T7, it's about a 280 carry distance, and I can give you guys the carry distances on all the clubs that I've got. And unfortunately, right now, the one that I've got, the most accurate and up-to-date one, is only all of the clubs available on PGA. Not even Build-A-Bags, because I have to do it in casual while doing it. Now, I took a little off and didn't max it out, but I was real close. That's about 2 miles short of maxing it out. Because I know that, but you can't really get too cute with that. Okay, again here. If I could get it, if with a big wind, I actually put this on before from here, but I just can't get the carry distance because of the height change. If I was a little closer to the front of the box with an outwind, you can get it over the ice and it's on the green. So for the most part then, I'm just going to nuke this up the fairway. I haven't found any risk of going anywhere off the fairway. So now we got that with an outwind of 11, but we know that the 9 wood, where the overhead marker says 193, it is not 193. This club, the carry distance is 102 typically. Okay, so Dan, carry distance does not get affected one iota by rain. Yeah, it's there, but I can hit the 9.5 over it when it's there. Okay, so Dan, and the rain. What the rain does to you, and mind you that the overhead marker, with how they have it calculates based off of the total distance. But that's counting rollout, right? Of a no spin medium tee shot. Okay, if you know anything about rain, that's where it stops your distance. Carry distance is identical to non-rain, but it doesn't roll out, so that number drops precipitously. But it doesn't need to. It should stay the same because your carry distance is exactly the same. This is why the overhead marker number in rain, just ignore it. You just got to come up with, you got to know what your clubs are. You got to know your club distances then. It doesn't roll out. So you'll see if I'm in a course with rain, I'm hitting roll on shots that I would backspin before because I need it to move through it and it won't go through. But your putting distance doesn't change at all in the rain either. So there's some caveats here that are flies in the face of what we'd like to call logic. But that's okay. That's just something you got to know. And since rain really isn't in the game right now. Well, yes and no. But Dan, go by your non-rain club markers. And really just learn your carry distances. The rest of it you can adapt to based off of seeing the terrain that you're hitting in or onto. But learn your club distances. And just for that, for your carry distances, what I'm going to give you is the max distances for all the clubs, highs and low tees, for carry distance. Mind you, this is on a perfectly straight 180, which is virtually impossible to hit. So my max distances, you're rarely going to get them. You're going to be slightly short, a mile or two short at best. All right, go. Let's share that bitch. I should have a toolbar. I should set this thing as. I should set this in my stream deck. But this is going to give you all the carry distances, right? All of this is all your carry distances. And remember, like I said, and how we did this was, and how I can tell you that it's the max, I disconnected the left and right, so I can only pull back straight and hit it straight. Well, now I have no variables. Now I know what the maxes are. It really is, but knowing, honestly, you can make this game really simple if you can learn to get to hit straight shots at the max distance and have a consistent speed on your thumb shot. Then all you have to do is learn how to chip and putt. It really is. That's it. This hole's a little off. You saw a lot of people with the chipper, and the chipper club is very similar to click chipping. I don't use that club because you can mimic that with the shot we call a chush. Now, for this hole, since it's a dramatic downhill and winds, it's hard to tell you what exact distances are. You're going to get a feel. I will chush anywhere from a 9-wood to a 3-wood on this hole. What I'm going to do is I want the lowest trajectory moving in, because if I have any bit of trajectory going on this far of a downslope at the speed that we have to hit it, it's going to hit that 10 and go backwards right away. So with that in mind, release is going to be my friend. I'm going to move it forward, but I'm going to go down here because we can't see where I'm at. Okay, so that's kind of lined up, but I got 11 cross. What if I go here and here? I like that line. So we're going to tee it up here. Low tee, lowest trajectory. That also allows me to hit an even lower lofted club. So for me on this one at 50 yards, let's just say my rough guesstimate for this is 50 yards is a 5-wood. 40 yards is a 6. Less is a 9. Higher is a little higher. It's in that range, and then you're going to have to adapt to it. And when I'm chushing this, I want this at 35, maybe a little more here, but I don't really care about the line because you're not going to be able to aim this to make it with this shot. So if I miss it offline a little bit, I'm giving it a chance to go in still. And I went 38 when I want my 35. Hit it too hard. Very close though, but you saw the trajectory. That trajectory was great. It's funny because I almost never missed this hole, and twice, 2 out of the last 3 on stream showing the chush on it, I missed it. But once again though, I hope you guys give me a little bit of leeway here, since I'm trying to teach and not necessarily do right now. It's great when they both come together, but I'll tell you this, the limited amount of gameplay, the teaching is it takes up most of it. Has anybody tried to go long on this and get over it? I'm going to try something special here. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to hit a C3 and try to hit it into the rock. I'm going to try to hit it in the rock. I want to see. Oh, bad. I thought that was going to bounce over. I thought that was going to bounce over it, but that rock kicked me right back into it. I thought I was going to kick that way. It was worth a shot, though. So we'll punch it out. Is there anything we've got from here? Snow's going to lower it and lower the distance. No, we're totally screwed. So we're just going to go with whatever gets me over, because it's not going to change if I'm 10 yards closer here than 10 yards short. Okay. This is a great reason for knowing your clubs. My 9-wood, it's actually a 200-yard club, let's say. My 6-wood is actually a 230-yard club, let's say. Maybe a 225, in that range, shorter. So, based off of that, this isn't, I mean, both clubs are options, but let's go with this, because the 9-wood's probably my most important club. The 9 and the 10 and a half are my favorite. And the 9-wood's gone through some serious variations over the years. But you notice that I went on an uphill shot, 106 yards, carried me 196. That doesn't make sense. Skip off the... Oh, okay, I got you. That's a good play. That's an interesting one, Dan. Thank you. I normally just put it on that little patch. That's all. So now here's a great way to show you what I'm talking about with the... I thought I had the 8.5. If I thumb this, it's short, even though my overhead marker's a little over it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to thumb it with roll. Speed was dead nuts. I mean, that was dead perfect there. And that was a really poor game. We'll play another one on it. And we're going to talk less about it. So talk less through it. But I'd love to see you guys commenting before I hit the shot. Like, see your comments. I'll take a little. I know there's about a 12-second delay, maybe 15 in the buffering. But I'll stop and wait. I kind of want to get to see if you guys are picking up what I'm putting down, like what you guys think the shot that I'm going to hit. Now, mind you, the shot that I'm hit, I've got a whole process of risk to reward going on in my head. But since I've done it thousands of times, and actually millions of times, that process takes zero time at all. It's just an instant calculation, you know? So I'm kind of curious, and you guys will have to stop and think about yours a little more as you're getting inundated to it a bit more. But it'll start coming quicker, man. So let's go through my thought process on shots. Like, if I have a preference of shots. All right. Spin, I don't have a preference one way or the other. There's different purposes for different shots, obviously. But in general, I want to, have a thumb shot right away. Okay. All right. So let's address Jeff's second point first. And guys, if you're watching on Facebook, well and good. You can't see the chat from Twitch or YouTube because the bots for they don't let bots post on Facebook. But the bots don't allow the posting back to Facebook. So you may be missing commentary. If you need to, go to helpmemouth.com and that'll take you right to the YouTube page. Perfect. Okay, that works. That works too. Going by it, I really want to give people more of what they're going to see or hear if they're at a tournament and how people are going to talk about shots so that everyone's using the standardized naming and convention that we're all using. Why did I grab those? Oh, I wanted to show Jeff's second point. He said the other thing he has issue back with the pullback on chips showing baby cuts. Chips, look, dude, that is one of my biggest faux pas in Golden Tee. I've tried to fix it over the years. It just ain't worth it. Where is it? Come on. I know it's here. There is so much stuff open here that I don't know what it's needed for. There we go. Okay, good. We got that. Now let's go here. Go here. Okay, so when we look at the trackball, Jeff, it's not symmetrical. So when you're pulling back slowly, that's straight back. It looks like I'm pulling dead straight back, right? But it's actually coming back slightly right because it wants to go back towards that roller. And the right-handed part, I bet lefties have a little bit more going to the left, but it's probably easier to pull back straight as a lefty. But that's really where the issue is. The trackball is not symmetrical. You're pulling back slightly to the right because there's a different amount of resistance going one way or the other. It's just the way of the world. It's but once again, not broken because it's accurate. It's very accurate. That trackball, everybody talks about it being a piece of shit. It's probably the most accurate thing in the entire game. The first part is, look, there's only really one reason why your numbers would drop from 142 to 123. And it's that somebody's got grease, they got grease fish, right? When you hear grease fish, another term, right? The grease fish is somebody with oily hands or somebody who just ate a fucking burger or the location that you're at is pretty humid or you're under the AC and the AC kicks most of the time, drying everything out. But when it doesn't have to kick, you get a layer of moisture that will cause the roller to lose friction with the trackball. So if we look at a trackball, right, it sits on these rollers, okay? It sits on these rollers. So it's small points of contact that are expected to have friction with the roller to make the roller spin. Come on, where did I get closer. Where are my wheels? It's got to be somewhere else. Where the fuck? I know I didn't throw those fucking guns away. Oh, here. Okay. And if we're looking at the trackball again, can we see it? Nah, you can't really see it in the picture. But trackball consists of those rollers. On two of the rollers, there is a flywheel or an optical wheel with holes in it. Those holes go through an optical board, right? Let's see if we can see it better. Well, yeah, not a good view of it. Let's try this camera here. And if you look, you can see it, right? See how there's a gap in that? So what it does is, right? My guess would be humidity related, or somebody dripped a little bit of beer like off their hand or glass, and it got on the trackball. So you had a little bit of water there. That's why you see people changing all the time. Now the optical, the wheel sits in here and spins when you spin the trackball, right? And all it's doing is reading how many times that these little holes break a beam of light. So naturally, if there's too little friction of the ball on the roller, it won't spin the wheel as fast. Bam. Jeremy, that's just bearings that probably need to get degreased and re-lubed again. And that's a simple process as well. So, but that's it. Now I'll tell you this for myself. The biggest or the fastest increase of skill that I had was the first time I got to open a trackball and see the inside, because the issues that I was having or the things that I thought were wrong were totally explained to me by the physics of the trackball. It makes sense. Why is pulling back to the right? Why does everything want to veer one way and not the other? Why is putting a little different on a left 10 than it is a right 10? Well, because it's not symmetrical. It takes more force going one way or the other. It's slightly different. Why do some days I can't hit the ball 130? Like I don't get any distance. All of those things come into play. But really with the trackball, distance, if you're getting really dramatic swings like that, that could tell me that that board that I showed you is having a problem. It could also be a static problem there. Somebody removes the grounding tape from it, right? Oh, John, you do fine. But so there's a lot to it. But when I say it's most likely, this is because 95% of the time, it's somebody got a little juice on the ball. Somebody got some kind of liquid or beverage or something like that. I mean, the other possibility could be there's no grounding. The ground is incomplete with it, and that the static electricity is building up a small electromagnetic field, which is causing an interference in the way that it's reading or sending the signal from the optical board into the I/O board. And when people tell me I'm wrong, I tell them they're stupid, because without a ground, most people won't ever have an issue. But if you have a place that you're building up a lot of static because of the surface that you're on, or the humidity, or the dryness, whatever does more or less, it will have those same problems. It will have those problems. Shit, it will even cause reboots on the machine. So please, if you have a home edition, make sure that you complete the circuit of the ground. Make sure that it's metal, touching the wires that are connected to it, which touches the metal plate, so you have a way to bleed off that kind of thing. It's such a small amount of electricity that's generated, and it could fuck your game up. And probably not break it, although I have seen it fry out I/O boards before. A big enough charge goes through that bitch, path of least resistance, since you don't have a ground, jumps over it. Jeff, I've had balls that I've had for 10 years. all a matter of, I mean, it all matters. You got to just get a feel for it, man. Now, I do some things on mine that allow it better. Hey, Neil. Hey, Nate. Hey, John. Sorry, guys, I didn't say hello. I was kind of on a tangent there. What we're using tonight, and those of you, there's some people in the room right now that are actually very good players. If there's something that I'm saying that you got another point to extrapolate on, you guys all know that your comments get me to. You can if honestly, if you guys kept commenting on shit that interested me, there is a very good chance that I forget to stop the stream and we're here all night. Like if that kind of thing goes on, like it absolutely does. Hi, Neil. But so my shot list, let's say my priorities of shot list, right? The first shot I always want to hit, if it's there, is a no pullback thumb shot, right? Thumb shots. No pullback shots are going to be my first. My first one's a thumb shot, most accurate non-pullback shot. My second thing would be a non-pullback push shot. So those two are my first priorities. So like I'm looking at a shot right now and I'm pretending it's a choose my own adventure. Okay. Can I thumb a shot directly at this hole? If the answer is yes, hit shot. If the answer is no, look for a no pullback push shot. Can I do that? No. Okay. So what's my next? A pullback straight hammer straight. No, not there. And obviously you don't have to go through it this hard. So, and I've already come up with the shot that I'm hitting here. I'm going to do a forward medium tee with backspin. The reason I don't want to high tee this is because I want to use the backspin to hit the green and turn it left farther. Because from the right to left, it's hard to get it to the left side of the green unless you do this. Oh, and I got it pretty far to the left. I just should have hit a 5-wood. And don't get me started on putting. Putting is going to be a fully internal thing that you can become repeatable on. If you're just starting out, do not pull back. I pull back putt, and it is a terrible thing with the design of the game right now. It's not. You should not pull back. All you can do is hurt yourself with inconsistent speeds. Now, for me, my rhythm outweighs all of that, and I've gotten consistent speeds over the years. But if you're pulling back in a newer player, all you're going to do is lessen your distance. Or one time out of 5, you're going to have a good pullback. The other times you're not going to line it up with a 180. So it's actually going to cut off distance, which means it's going to change the break, change how a hole plays, and you're never going to get better at putting. You will, because you'll start realizing that. But you got the tips of somebody who just played 100 games and realized, shit, putting is not what I thought it is. But just like with your normal swing, not just like your normal swing. I stated beginning of the show that pulling back the ball is generally about a 19 mile per hour gain in it, right? Well, that will mean that per club, a 19 mile per hour game, it's going to be pretty standard how much that gains you in distance. And that'll vary from club to club, but that's something you'll pick up pretty quick. But with putting, a pullback gains you nothing. Your non-pullback hammer putt and your pullback hammer putts will go the exact same distance. It's one of the problems with putting in general is that a pullback on your putter doesn't gain you any speed, so you kind of lose it. Nate, I think the problem is, and I still have the problem, is that with just the minutia of it and just the micro differences, like it's a 2 degree more slope on the deck. The ball is in a slightly different position in relation to where I stand. The outside edge is in a different spot if you stand over here. So I think it's more that, and that it's just going to take time, almost like relearning the wheel. Or, I'm sorry, reinventing the wheel. Yeah, and I'm with you, though. But that's also part of it is because of putting is atrocious and the code is bad and it needs to get fixed. It needs a change. It is not conducive to a game that we are competitive on and gamble on because technically I think that it probably breaks the law even with the code on how putting works. And if anyone that really wanted to get a bug up their ass and really wanted to fight and say that we're playing on different conditions, I think in the end they probably wouldn't win, but because I don't think anyone would be able to explain what's wrong with the putting. But I'm telling you right now that if someone can make a 70-foot or can't make a 70-foot putt, but can make the same putt from 75 feet, that is a problem. And I don't think that's legal. I would say that that needs to be fixed. Trust me, the professor of physics here talked to some math professors, and we couldn't even come up with a formula as to how it works. We got pretty close. It just didn't work at anything below 70 feet. I mean, it's not too bad. You could take the numbers out of my putting chart, do a stat plot, and then set it up with a sine regression. It gives you a formula that kind of works, but it doesn't work as you get lower because the additive number that they're adding on, right? The putt max on a dead flat putt is 143. It's 143. Now, my testing showed that stouts, stock, and streaks all went the same. And the what's the ball that had all the spin on it? The reason why putting kind of got nerfed a little to begin with, Vanguards. Those go a little further. That's the only ball that does anymore. And to my knowledge, what they did was they took all the ball attributes off all of the balls or when it's on the putting surface, so you don't have a distance effect for it. Prior to them doing that, about circa 2018 to 2019, I think is when they changed that. Well, so what I will tell you the difference of the 9.5 300 and the 9.5 310 is well, here, if you scroll up in the chat, oh, you know what? I didn't have a 9.5. What the hell happened to my 9.5? Huh. You know what's weird is the 9.5 300 on the 9.5 310 isn't on the PGA standard clubs. I don't have that in here. But the 9.5 310 is the club that came from the Big Bertha set, if I remember correctly. If you remember back that far, out of top players, I was the only one that was using the Big Berthas because no one could control that driver. Because what they found was, and what we all found was, 180s on it, awesome. It had a higher deduction of yardage off of cross cuts than the 9.5 300. So at max it was good, but consistency was not. And then also that the higher loft of the 9.5 actually gave it almost the same distances. So you were having a law, even though it was very similar. So I won't ever talk about the 9.5 310. It's just not a club that I'll ever use. The 9.5 300 is consistent. And I've used that club since the day I started playing Golden Tee, so we know it. We know it. I don't want to use clubs that I've never played before. Like using the 9-wood was rough at first, or the 6-wood, but you needed them out of necessity. You played them out of necessity, not out of, you need them now. You need stuff to get over it. Hey, Cam, how you doing, bud? Oh, there goes the phone. Hospitals in winter and the feeling that it's all a lot of oysters and no pearls. Oh, yeah, we're doing great, man. You too. I hope so too. I love you, Cam. Shiz. Oh, yeah. Oh. So what else can we talk about as basics? So far, we got a pretty good start, right? We got a pretty good feel for the basics. Yes, it is. And really, most of the time, your drivers, you're not really playing half cuts on. You're hitting them hammered. So I want the most consistent one that has the least amount of deduction when I'm not a dead straight 180, because I'm never dead straight 180. I mean, it's just as simple as that. But honestly, on Nord, the drivers really doesn't make a difference. I mean, I went from an 8.5 to a 9.5 on Nord, mainly because of the drivable par fours that had the gaps over it. Okay, see, Jeff, I don't even think cuts are that important right anymore. To get max scores, absolutely. But to become a 26 handicap, you don't have to even learn how to cut at all. You really don't. Or you don't have to be well versed in it. You just learn how to put it on a green with your cuts where you're not playing it to make everyone. But that's the difference between an elite player and a good player, is that almost every shot I'm hitting is a shot I'm looking to hold out. Like, really, that's the end goal. What am I doing here? Am I looking to stick to green? No, I want to make this son of a bitch. That honestly, you might have just qualified probably the biggest difference between the best of the best and the next tier. It's what they're looking to do with the shot. Everything right now, I'm finding the risk to reward to make this shot. And really, my choose your own adventure comes into play here. Do I have a thumb shot straight? Absolutely. We're hitting that. We know this is going to go a little further. We're going to get it left, thumb it straight. I mean, thumb it left and be pretty good. Did I get it left? Nope, I didn't get it left enough. Nope. But you see, though, that had every opportunity. Speed-wise, perfect. Execution, not great. So really, I'm more mad when I think the shot threw wrong, because there's no reason, after playing 100,000 games in this, my percentage of hitting the wrong shot because my percentage of hitting the wrong shot should be almost zero. Executing the right shot, that's still going to take some cojones and some skill, but hitting the wrong shot mentally is a mistake that I shouldn't make. You guys are going to make it a little more, but as you play more games, you're going to make it less and less and less. And I will flat out tell you, it gets tiresome. Like, you'll hear me commentating on streams, and I'll tell people, I'll say on streams, look, guys, the result was great. He held it out. He hit the absolute incorrect shot for that shot. He made the risk to reward so bad in the wrong favor that he didn't need to. That's what I'm saying when you hit the wrong shot. When you have a better risk to reward shot, where you have just as high of a chance of making it, but you have no risk of not if you don't, right? So there is a right shot to hit, and it's not based on result. End result is great, but that doesn't matter. If we based on only hitting our shots off the end results, every shot I'd be hitting into a mountain and trying to bounce it in and put it in, because the first time I played holes back in the day, I made aces by mistakes. Not the right way to play it, though, right? Or if you ever played Real Time Rivals, you played John Daly, and his holeouts were all these goofy fucking bank shots. They were pretty repeatable, but to make, absolutely not. You were playing guesses with bounces off of shit. You can't do that. That's not a good risk. The reward is not high for that risk. It's just not there. Did not make it. Does that make sense to everybody? Because that's a really important concept to know. Just because you hold the shot out doesn't mean you hit the right shot. In fact, most holdouts are because of the wrong shot. I mean, a lot of people make shots that shouldn't go in. Or, I'm sorry, most shots of the week on YouTube are wrong shots that work out, right? They are. Ultras, typically not a good shot. It just happened to land in the hole. What do we got here? No, see, I need the marker to be in the snow is basically it. Otherwise, I'm not close enough. So if the marker's not in the snow, it doesn't matter anything else. Now, I wonder, though, if I was playing a Titan ball, I'd have it be there more often, but also not there just the same amount. So in the end, I think it would end up being the same. Like I'd get it as many times as I wouldn't, because I can get it with no outwind where I'm sorry. Yeah, I can get it. No, the Titans would have to get there more often or not. More often. They would. Okay, so last time we were at 50 and we hit a 5 wood, but that was a crosswind, right? So now we got a wind in our face. We're offset a little. Do we go from this angle? I'm going to say yes because of the left 3, but I'm moving it forward. So let's go here and see from here. I'm going to go from here. So my 5 wood was a little deep last time at 38 miles per hour. Now, hey, Ben, how you doing, bud? So mind you, too, you don't have to remember all of this. There's just certain things like I'm picking up. I knew I was playing this again, so why not store that for later? I hit at 38 last time. It was a little hot. So this one, I'll low T the 4 with release because of the 13 in my face. That 7 on that high of an elevation change, that 7 or 6.5 wind is going to drop this down. This might even need a 3. But we'll go with the chush. I'm going to hit it 35 to 38 and see what it gives us. Yep, I was right. I needed more. I needed that one there. I should have hit a 3 wood there. Again, though, God, this is all shit I'm fucking up only when I'm on stream. I don't remember the last time I did not stick this green except for when I'm streaming with you guys. I guarantee you that I will not miss it again tonight. So you guys are saying an A1 off that shit bounces it? Yeah, I could see it, but this one I don't need to. I'll just get it down there. Be careful because this plays as grass, not rough. So that bounce will bounce through this quite a bit. I personally fucking hate it. I hate that there's patches that are the same exact surface as rough, but they've coded them to be a different surface. It's like they're trying to fuck with people. And in the least inventive way that you could ever come up with. All right, 274 into a 17, slight downhill. Normally I'd hit this. I think it's this. Back it up. I'm going to thumb it with bite, and I'm going to flip it 85 to 90. Shit game. That was terrible. The missed chip, the missed chush pisses me off. Okay, we're going to go one more on these, and then we'll take a look at some invites, too. All right, so like I said, we're calling this basics. What kind of other shots? I know click chipping's a big one. I'm not going to be the best one to go into a soliloquy on with that because I don't like to use it. There are just a couple of times we talked about it and I did it on here. I did see some really cool things that if I really needed to be meticulous on, I probably could. It's just so not conducive to playing the game at a pace of my liking that I just don't do it. But the chush I can rap poetically about crazy. But a technical chush, you hear people doing the other things. The technical chush is hitting a ball dead straight at 35 miles per hour, which is the min with no pullback. That's a chush. Everything else is a slight variation of it. When somebody says they're aiming their chushes, that's not a chush. All right, Dan, that is something that old school players have a much better way of better at that than new school because the club set. All right, so the club set that most of us played quite a bit. Yeah, B1, yep, that works. But this is the club set that we all used to play with, right? Is it even on here? It's not on here. I forgot they took it all off. But the club set on your legacy that we all used to play with was the buzzsaws, right? And if you look at the buzzsaws, it went 8.5. It was 320 when they came out, but it was an 8.5, 310 now, which is the driver that I use in my other bags. It had a 3 wood, a 4 wood, a 1 iron, a 2 iron, a 3 iron. and a 5-iron. Okay, now we didn't have tees back then. So imagine, if you will, of having a wind in your face where you have to land a shot at 160. Well, that's 5-iron is 160, but you're not going to get it there. So what do you have to do? You had to learn how to cut a 3-iron down to land at 160 yards. And that was done by baby cut with a little whippy. So when I do them, you'll see me hit shots like this. One motion. That's my way to dumb it down, because now I'm hitting the baby cut, kills a little distance. I'm throwing it out farther than if I flipped it over the select clubs. So like if I went to the tip of B, I want to go outside of the tip of 2. Otherwise, it's going to come back more than where the point is, right? It's going to come back more than that line is. If you hit a C3, it's always going to be left of the original marker, right? It's going to be there. But if I undercut it and hit it to 3, it'll kind of hang out and come back in. But the B 1.5 works. But I'll do it both ways. I'll do a little bit left or right of it, whatever direction I want to play the whippy out to, and that's how I'll control my distance. It's very rarely a pullback, straight, hit it straight type shot, because you can't really, controlling the distance, that under 78 mile per hour distance is really not conducive to repeating. Even though the numbers won't lie, it's hard to do over and over and over again. What isn't is to get my cut right and then throwing it out. Because the joy of that too is it's still going to come back to a very similar spot. I can't really fuck it up. I might hit it too hard, but my lines are going to be very similar all the time. Oh, who is this? I got somebody doing. Oh, and they got no place to go. I'm starting to know I'm the... This is James Morrison doing, not Jim, James doing this. This is awesome. Yeah, that's gonna be it. I'd love to throw in a game with no tees one of these times, and show you what I'm talking about. The one course that it was a big one on was Indigo Mound, right? Oh, Burnsy, I'm sorry. Richard was one of my favorite commentators we've ever had. I love Jackie. I mean, I love Jason and Jackie to death. But I got to say, like, when I looked at it from a more analytical view, I get it. Trying to watch these matches and listen to people up there drunk, it's not good. It's funny, but there's only so much funny I need to hear while I'm watching a stream about golf. Throwing it in color a little bit to be funny, awesome, but otherwise I want to know about the matches, not hear about... And I know I've been guilty of it in the past too. But yeah, it was, honestly, the match that Haas and I had back in the day on in the finals for an indie tournament, which was a best of 5 and a best of 3 for him to double dip me, which he did. We had some games, and then I even have one that was on a stream by Richard King years ago, another indie with me and Marc Stenmark back on the Winding Pines days, and it went. I ended up getting the best of him on that in a best of 5. But, dude, I think I won the first match 3 better to 1 better. He won the next match 2 better to 1 better. I won the next one with a 3 better. It was insane. Like, the problem was it wasn't us both doing, like, it wasn't back-to-back stuff. But we had the one, Haas and I had one on Rhineland where I think it went 6 holes or 5 holes where I hold out, then the next hole he hold out, then I hold out, then he hold out, then I hold out. And it was the Rhineland, like the windmill design a hole on Rhineland. Like I canned that one. Haas canned a cut shot double eagle from 270. I aced a short par 3. And then he had another one in there. So it was a very similar approach, except it wasn't the end of the match. I think that's what made it great. And yes, the commentary was spot on. And really, that pairing was 2 of the best in the business, man. Bernhardt, and I've said it 100 times. If I'm contemplating quitting streaming, the thing I'd probably do is send this machine to, or ask IT to send him a PGA machine, and then just pass the channel right along to him. Because if you go back to the Bernhardt when he was at my house, I actually, when people are here, I'll go upstairs sometimes saying I'm taking a shit, but I'm really just watching them. And it's kind of funny how good most people have been on the stream talking with them themselves. But Bernhardt is like listening to myself up there because his knowledge is spot on. He's right most of the time. The only thing he would give you, though, is he would tell you how wrong you are and not talk about stouts enough. But it's a great learning experience. And then his technical knowledge behind the scenes in the background knowledge of the game. It's in the King. If you just go to GoldenTeeTV, it should be there. Here, let me find it. I know King just put it up a little bit ago. Want me to fly. Taught me to lie. Okay, that's the 51. I know he just shared us again. I'm looking. I'll find it here. I'm looking. I'll find it here. Where is it? Members only. Okay, here. Let's search his channel. Let's see. I think he edited this. Where the fuck is it? All right, so we got 2 links because, like I said, it was a longer one. Me to fly. But King also clipped this, right? And you'll have to, I'm sure the next one will come up, but that's part 1, I believe. That was part 1, but that's the full match. King edited it out just to the hole out part. I want to say the worst part about this, though, was that at that time I was suffering some serious joint issues from whatever they think is. It was bad, but I was king of the hill in a setup where the winner's side was best of 5 and the loser side was best of 3. So I won king of the hill and waited for 4 hours to play my next match. And I mean, like, I got up and the first thing I said to Haas, and I go, dude, I'd have to warm up for an hour to get loose again. So I think you're going to get this first cycle pretty easily. And I mean, like, I was so bad. And you can't beat Andy Haas if you're playing bad. And then even that round where I was killing it, I then fucked up like the easiest shot at the end of the round by missing the trackball. And then it gave me like a bad score. So where I went from up 2 to down 1. And after that, it was done for. Well, we actually plan on it a bit. That plan for the 35 on, we had already scheduled the 35 I shot on Nate. We were going to go and do that. But then we found that Andy, messed up and didn't record it. He only had the recording on things that were live. But actually what we will do is we'll do the 51 under. How about that? How about the 51 under, man? I'll get with King. We'll get that out there. We'll put it out. We'll probably put it on GoldenTeeTV because, shit, with him not streaming the tournaments, he needs to keep some viewership up. But I'll talk to King. But I've been having a little bit of a hard time getting with Richard since Worlds. I really wish I had the Lake Powell round recorded. We tried so hard to get it after the fact. I to this day, I don't think there's another round of Golden Tee that matched that round of Lake Powell. I really don't think there's anything that's been close. Haas's 31 on Shady is the next best thing. Otherwise, there's nothing even close. Because, oh God. I thought that was over. That was me being stupid. God damn it. Now I'm not going to win this one. All right. We got to take our lumps here, right? No, we're done. Game over. Sorry. Let's make sure we don't have any invites. I like the tee boxes on that course. I just don't, I don't want to play it that much. I'm going to certainly try, Jason. Nothing's set, but unfortunately, I think I probably, I just did my class schedule today, which also pisses me off. I had to wait until now when registration starts Monday or ends. The semester starts now because I just don't get it. They're guaranteed the money for me from my VR&E program, the Voc Rehab from the military. But for some reason, I get a hold on my account every time because the Voc Rehab representative from the school is terrible at her job and doesn't get it done right away. So I have to beg for my money for my books. Then I have to tell her, hey, I can't register because there's a hold on my account because you haven't processed it. And I know it's from her side because my VA rep from the VA shows me that, look, I'm just waiting. She's got everything. I'm waiting on her to send me the bill. Hey, Mr. Hamilton, how are you tonight? All right, what am I doing? Oh, I swiped events, right? Yeah, we want to check invites. All right, so we covered terminology. We covered our little bits of basics. Thumb shot, push shot, hammer shots. That's really what you want to learn to begin with. We'll start talking about cuts and some of the intricacies of that a little more, probably next stream. But maybe we'll do Monday nights, and we'll kind of go Monday nights for the new shit. And then Thursdays, we'll go through some older basic stuff like the chushing. Maybe I'll work on click chipping a bit so I can give you guys a more accurate depiction of it. I might not be great at it yet, but you'll get a way to start learning it on your own based off the intricacies of it. Then the chush we'll go through again, and we'll probably do, we'll start Thursday shows. The start of Thursday shows with either some remedial training or going into a specific shot. I think I like this. I like that idea. Monday we'll go event. Thursdays we'll go through some remedial training on some of the other shit. Let me look to see. I don't know if I won or lost my non-handicap match. I shot a one-off on Sparkling. For the non-handicap tournament, and that might not be good enough. I missed a really easy putt is my problem. I was not very pleased. All right, what do we got expiring? That's what we need to see first. Nothing. Probably because they already expired. So we're going to start here. Yeah, RJ, that's what I just put up, dude. I just put it up there. King has a better version of it, though, and I didn't see it on YouTube, so I wonder if he just uploaded it through Facebook. All right, so Juniper, we'll go through the bag here. Standard. Do I have a different? No, I got my 4-iron in here, so I changed. Back when I played this course, I would have an 8-wood and a 9-wood because I was a 7-wood, 9-wood guy forever because they were dramatically different. You don't need them now, though. Okay, so we got that one here. Let me see about my non-handicap. All right, I won my non-handicap match. Okay, that was weird. That was substantial. That was pretty fat. Yeah, the Indy tourney. Yep. Now, there's also a part of that tourney that if you watch, Haas and I had a really good discussion. You know, me and him commentated. He was a little bit tipsier than I was at the time, and the Indians were on, so you'd hear him have random blurt outs of him like yelling at the TV. But we had some really good discussions to show you the difference between our gameplay. And honestly, he's adapted to a lot of the things that I said there. Back then, our biggest argument back in the day was, why the hell do you still have a lob wedge in your bag? He's like, well, I'm an insurance agent. I want that in case shit happens. And I'm like, but Andy, are you ever making shots with the lob wedge when you're in trouble that you need it? No. So are you telling me that you can't get out of any bunker for birdie with a sand wedge or a G wedge? Well, or for one off a par? Like, well, man. And I go, well, is there any times that you're getting out with the lob wedge that you don't think you can with a G wedge or sand wedge? He's like, well. So now if you notice, he doesn't have a lob wedge in any bag. It's like, I guarantee you won't, well, I don't guarantee it because everybody gets stupid now, that you won't see Haas with that chipping wedge, the chipper in her bag. But I did not, I played exceptionally bad in that match, except for we had that really good run of holes. But I'll show you the whole why I had to carry an 8-wood. It was the only time I ever had an 8-wood in my bag. I always had a 7-wood. 7-wood is my go-to because it was right. The numbers are right based off the overhead. 8-wood's off by about 5 yards. 9-wood's off by about 10 yards. Those clubs are almost all the same distance, just different heights. So know that too. That's a little intricacy that people don't really understand. Okay, so this... my distance is longer than the marker, right? Than my overhead marker. And on every other club, I'm not going to hit that. But the 9-wood, this is labeled wrong. It's a 200-yard club. That should be 205, which lines me right up with the pin. That it's a little short of the line if it's 10 yards. So I'm going to hit this thumb release. And I'm not going to thumb it straight. But look, distance-wise, perfect. So once you understand... you have the basic understanding, you adapt to whatever your clubs are. Now, like I said with the overhead marker, I use the overhead marker differently for different groupings of clubs. The 7, the 8, the 9 pitching wedge, sand wedge, G wedge, all very similar relationships to the overhead marker, meaning that my standard thumb distance carries about the same relationship to the distance that's lined up with the overhead marker. Okay. Now, then I go with the 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 are all very similar. Now, the 2 and the 3 are even a little shorter. They get shorter as it goes down. It's a slope, like you hit them shorter at 85 in relation to the distance that they're showing on the meter, kind of thing. It's just how it is. And if you listen to what I was saying earlier, it's because of the height of the clubs, right? The heights tell you when you have a higher lofted club, you have less distance reduction. So every mile per hour is worth less. So your shot marker doesn't move based off of, so if it's giving you a number at 100, it doesn't change much, right? Because that's your distance per mile per hour. It's, let's say, a yard per mile per hour. When you're on a driver, it's 4 yards a mile per hour in some spots, kind of thing. That's why. Hard to explain exactly what I'm saying. Hey, Mike, how you doing, sir? It's hard to explain exactly what I'm saying, and I feel like I'm not doing it justice. I just hope you get an understanding what I'm saying and a general purpose. Like I said, I'm not data mining giving you exacts. I'm giving you the best case scenario based on actual game data. Not going into code and figuring out based off the database numbers on an individual club or things, even though someone has data mined those and I have them somewhere, they're just not useful to the average fan. They're really not. You do see some factors on clubs that make some things make more sense. I thought the funniest one was, I don't know if anybody here does anything with code, you can put hashtags in the code so that it's not processed at all. And with the 9-woods back then, if you looked at the Flare 9-wood and the Build-A-Bag 9-wood when I saw the code, in there was a note that the developer wrote, and this isn't verbatim, it's something like this though. They wrote something like, I put the characteristics on these two clubs exactly the same, and for the life of me, I cannot figure out why they're different. Saving this for later, kind of thing. And I thought that to be funny because that's the impression that we all had about the club. Oh, come on, ball. 83 dead straight is better than hitting it 100 with my thumbs and being off a little bit. And I think I need to start doing that, dropping down a little bit back to my speeds that I was hitting 2 years ago. Like 85 was my standard thumb. Now it's like gone way to the 88 range, and I don't know why. Oh, shit. I forgot about this hole. Oh, God, that's terrible. But guess what? I'm on. Ha-ha, yeah. All right, heavy rough is an interesting animal. The overhead marker gets dropped down by a large factor. Look at, right? It's 50 yards short of what the 10.5 shows in general. The problem is you can still have a very similar carry distance. So forget, other than the clubs that I told you are labeled wrong, 9 wood, 6 wood specifically, my distance with the club, I'm going to play it to the distance that it says on the club. So out of heavy rough, with no wind, level shot, this is about a 250 yard shot. I can hit this 250. So I got 10 in my face. I'll probably accidentally cut this because I'm aiming it a little bit. Let's go with this and backspin it. And watch, you're going to be baffled. It's going to be just right. Oh, look at that. It's crazy. Use that to your advantage out of the heavy rough, because we don't want to hit. Look, hitting a shot at 125 is the hardest thing you're going to do to be consistent with, right? So I want to play whatever club I can play that I can hit as hard as I can, because that is consistent. I'm always going to max out my speed when I hammer it. So if you're a new player, work on getting in the 140s on your hammer shot. That's your first and foremost thing to do, is learn to hit the max track of the trackball. That's going to be your biggest gainer you'll have in strokes. Because now you can make things that were hard, that you had to play a cut shot or hit a driver at 110, not consistent. But if I could hit a 3 wood at or a 5 wood at 150 at 142 that matches my driver at 110, I'm going to hit the 5 because I can fucking do it every time. I'm going to go with this. I want to hit this baby soft, but I got to get it around the edge. A green on a fly is always great here. And this whole putt's funny. It's always been a little weird. Just is what it is. This one should play like a normal putt, though. I mean, notice that thing slowed down and broke a ton. Now, but there, my pullback was kind of bad. It wasn't a straight line. So I killed distance of my own by doing that, which is why what I'm saying about the pullback on putting is so important, that if right now, if I hadn't taught myself this way forever to pull back putts, I would be a thumb putter, right? I would thumb putt, because I know that even if it might take me longer, I know that I can have a speed that's consistent, and then I just need to know what my distances are and how far a ball is going to get past the hole. So for that, a chart such as this, guys, I got everything for you. I got it all. I got stuff upon stuff upon stuff. I might even go find that. I might even try to go find that that old heights shot. This is going to explain the putting a little more to you. And what it's going to do is show you that putting is fucked. If you're a math person at all, look at this and tell me if you can come up with a formula for the putting stroke. I'll wait. I'll wait. I'll wait. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think there's a formula. I think it's 3 different formulas that need to be plugged in together. So there's no easy way for us to adapt to it except by learning it and memorizing and understanding the break points, when you're going to have higher speeds, when it's lower speeds. And that's all in that chart there for you guys. It's not a chart. It's actually just an Excel with a bunch of numbers. I just couldn't even come up with a way to chart it correctly that would be usable. Like, it's that bad. I mean, it's that bad. If you see these numbers and you don't think it's bad, do you not think that putting should be, the speed of a putt should be directly related to how hard you hit it? That would make sense, right? How far you hit the ball should be directly related on how far you hit it. with a limit so you can't hit a ball 150 feet when you're 5 feet away. That makes sense. That's a great part of it. But how they did it is not right. It is so not right. It is so not right. It's embarrassingly not right. And the embarrassing part is that no one recognized it. That's the embarrassing part of a lot of the things. The stuff that's broken or glitches, not a big deal, dude. That's going to happen with these games. They're pretty fucking advanced. And the amount of code that it takes to do it, you're bound to have bugs. The problem is that when you're trying to play the product that you created and you're not able to discern what the issues are and you think it's good to go, so you send it out thinking that it's fine. When one of us plays it and they are like, what the fuck is this? I mean, take example for Eagles Peak, right? Within 5 games of playing the course, we all recognize that there's a bunch of holes that the putting is fucked up. It is so fucked up. Like, you have certain holes that have different friction levels on the green. Could be a feature if it was designed correctly, saying, hey, this green's harder. Or you have greens like you could have a setup like they do in bowling, the oil on the lanes. Hey, today it's really dry on the course. We got a windstorm that came through. Greens are fast today. That would be kind of cool. But to just randomly have putts go different distances or have putts travel different distances because you're shorter or longer on it, kind of fucked up. Let's go with the 10.5 bite. I feel like I'm going to fly this. If you know this hole at all, it carries a little longer than you think it should. So I didn't hit that hard at all. And that's a good thing I did. But once again, I had to play a guessing game based off of knowledge and repetition play on the course on how much that elevation change was actually going to affect the shot. There's no number that tells me elevation change, so that is something you're going to have to start picking up with on the visual cues of it. Hard to do, but once you do, it's not that bad. I mean, really, just go play Monty 100 times in a row, and you'll start understanding what the difference in heights will do to your shot. All right, so far, what kind of questions does anybody have? It's 10 o'clock right now. Typically, would be stopping here, but I'm not leaving you guys with half-ass answers to things. I'm sure we got to have a couple questions, or maybe even something to spit in the face on what I'm saying, because hey, these are all theorems, right? You get test and test and test. You don't call them facts. Some things I'll tell you are fact. Okay, so now a lot of the times the bite and backspin come into play differently depending on elevation. And this is one of the things, Sean, my man, I haven't talked to you in a while. Let me answer this question, then I'll get back to you being awesome at the comedy shit. But Dozer, so one of the first things that I want to know, wind, height, and elevation changes are going to be huge effects on backspin and bite. Now you may go, why is that? Well, it's all about trajectory and the inertia of the ball while it's moving. If I have a big downhill shot, guess what? When it hits the surface, that ball is not going to be moving forward or backward as much because it may be going like this, but as it comes down, it flattens out. So in that scenario, bite is a lot larger. And backspin will be even larger. I used a connotation that says, and related it to saying, like, on a way downhill shot with no wind, backspin's going to react like plus backspin. Bite's going to react like backspin. Release is going to react like almost nothing. Roll, slightly more than nothing. So it's really trajectory that's going to determine it. You're going to have to use your brain to figure out when your trajectory is going to be higher or lower. Now, for the other most part, we're going to use the size of the green and the position of the pin to determine what we want. Backspin can be very useful in a lot of shots, but you also have to have knowledge. Because right now, right? I gotta get King with me. I can't get I want my telestrator back on so I can start showing you guys this on Thursdays. I want to start circling shit and pointing it out to you a little more. Unless it is working. Hang on, maybe it is working. Oh, no shit. No, I have to reinstall it. I had to redo my machine. Fuck, I don't even have it on there. So it's definitely not working. But what it's giving me on this down 5 right 2 is the break from the instant my ball on the path to the hole, the break of the green between that point in time of when it first misses the green. Nope. Well, there's no gauge, but I'll go to that one next. But here we go. Humidity, Trey. Humidity or your hands. Make sure you wipe it down all of the time. There also can be caused by a power issue, meaning the power supply isn't able to like as you use it longer, it starts generating less power, which means less power is going to the ball. You get reboots too. So keep that in mind. Type it out when you hear it. I want to go back to Dozer's question. So we're getting the relationship between, we're getting the break of the green between the first point the ball crosses in. It crosses the edge of the green going toward the hole. But with the shot I'm going to hit, I'm going to land past the hole. So, I mean, there literally could be, it could be 10 feet higher behind the hole. There isn't a time that it is, except for tiered green. I digress. But if we're looking at it, yeah, that's really the only causes, Trey. But so now I don't technically know the break of the green behind it, except for the fact that I've played the hole 1,000 times and know this one's pretty true throughout, right? It's playing pretty true throughout. So I know that that's constant there, and it's pretty consistent on this. But it could very well be that past the hole, it's a right 8 and a down 10, rolling away from the green. So my shot would have to change for that then. But that's course knowledge. Here, like I said, we know what it is. So on this, I got a wind in my face. So that messes right there, especially with a 9-iron, because let's think of that trajectory of the ball flight. If this was no wind, the pathing's going to have a bigger, it's going to have what would you call that? A wider arc, a wider waveform on the arc. So the ball will have more inertia going with the shot. Therefore, bite and backspin will do slightly less. Well, with the 5 in the face, it's not changing the apex. It might change where it reaches the apex, but what it's doing is, at the beginning, when the ball's at its max speed, you're going to be going forward faster, but then it's going to slow down and hit the apex. So when it comes down, it's coming down straighter and not as symmetrical of an arc, let's say. So if that's the case, now bite's going to react more. So a 5 in my face will make bite react more here. Then the next part is going to be how fast I hit it. There is still a relationship in the game, like to old school Golden Tee, where we had no spin, where the sheer torque on the ball, the miles per hour you were getting, was what caused more spin. Like a max swing would give you a ton more backspin than a soft swing or a thumb shot. There is a slight part of that. You'll get more bite. Bite will work more at 140 than it will at 80. So you got to pick out your distance points and try to figure them out with the wind. I don't have an exact science for it. It's a feel science. And we're not always right because we can be wrong. Here, I think this ball stops dead and bites a little bit with bite. And I'm going to go with bite. If this was no wind, I could still do bite, but flip it at a lower speed, meaning I'm going to get less spin on it. So it's going to hit and release on me. It's just not going to move as fast as if I had no spin. And those are very useful for shots like this if I wanted to run it at the hole. Fortunately, the back is a little longer and closer to my club distance, so I want to go past the hole. See how that one hit and released? I didn't have enough speed on it. 5 miles per hour, didn't slow it down enough to make the bite act enough to back it up. So there, my guessing was pretty close. My distance ended up fine, but it still wasn't what I was thinking it was going to be. I probably needed to snap thumb that, though, get it closer to 90, and then it would have done what I thought. This is a goofy hole. It's been aced a few times. We're going to try to get it to ramp. It just doesn't with stouts a lot. Trey, what I recommend, get yourself a bottle of this with some 99% isopropyl alcohol and any microfiber towel. And if it starts dropping distance, give it a good spray, wipe it down really hard, hit it a few times, and then play again. So this is kind of tough because luckily it's with stouts because it's only 8 in the face. And technically it's not 8 in the face. It's really only about 5 in the face, 5 directionally, let's say. So I can do this, but I'm gonna hit a push shot with roll here. I don't want any cut or slice. I want to hit this slightly left, hits the green, and then since I'm not going to have as much speed moving forward, it's almost going to just make a dead left-hand turn. A little arc forward, but it's going to be a left-hand turn. In fact, the left side of the green and water's in play, but watch. Ah, the wind turned it. Notice how it just made a dead left-hand turn with roll and didn't move forward. So I needed to get that farther left to do that. That wind played a lot more than I thought it was going to. No replay codes was a change in policy from YouTube, saying that every uploads, I did, and by the way, this is a guess, because I don't know, when I'm uploading to YouTube, I have to fill all this out too. But before they weren't giving data on the shot to YouTube, like, is it made for kids? Is it graphic content? Is it this and that and that? So if you look in the email that you get with the code now, you had to fill it out once. I think they can have an API that connects it a little better, that does it automatically for us. But I'm not a developer in that sense of the word. I don't know how to do it. I don't think it's tough, and I think that somebody there should be smarter than me and be able to, but who knows? Oh, yeah. Yeah, no reboots tells me it's probably not a power issue. It's probably just some hand grease on it. A little bit of that grease fish. That game knows your nose grease. All right, so we got 12 in our face. We're uphill, but we have a down 7. So let's kind of try to think this out, what this does to it. I'm going to be hitting the green at such a low angle. My first bounce is going to go forward a lot, especially with a 4-wood or a 3-wood. So where I might be thinking a 3-wood's the play here, I'm really at risk of such a large first bounce bouncing over the bottom. Okay, Dozer, when people tell you they're aiming at a certain spot on the board for the break, they're fucking up. Because based off of the numbers I gave you, your breaks are different at every distance because you're not having a consistent speed in relationship to the distance of the ball. So you're going to have a putt at 70 feet will break a ton more than a putt at 74 feet. And that's a guess and check. You'll have to look at those numbers. Use the putt power percentage number that I came with. You'll see it goes up and down with it. And then you'll have to adjust to it. The other thing, let's take a look at this again. I kept it up just for this reason. Okay, since the ball is not symmetrical, if we think of it this way, if I aim to the left, the ball is sitting on the roller that controls my left. If I hit to the left, guess what? It's going to read it easier than hitting to the right. You're not going away from it. It can't go off of that roller when hitting a soft shot that way. So what you'll kind of figure out, and this is just something that came natural with feel to me, that aiming on a right breaking putt to the left, you don't have to aim as far to the left. If you aim to the right, you kind of have to aim a little bit more you have to aim a little bit farther out, or you have to come up with a consistent way that you're keeping enough pressure on the ball that the ball can't possibly leave the roller. Thumb putting does that pretty well, but you'll hear of people that can't thumb to the right at all. And it's for that reason alone. So not knowing that the ball isn't symmetrical means that aiming one way or the other is slightly different. It's part of the game. I don't like it. I would design a ball that it actually sits roller between 2 and choose club, 2 and choose club the other way, and then a roller down here. The problem is they're not machinists or fabricators of equipment. They're not making their own trackballs. They're buying them for another company. The other company's designed a certain way for it to mount a certain way. And the readings that you get then would be your x-axis and y-axis. Your x and y-axis would have to be calculated from both. Like you'd get an x and a y reading from both rollers, which is a little tougher. You'd almost need a third roller there that's getting a reading. So you have 3 coordinates then, and you could break it down. They're not going to fucking do it. So it's not even worth theorizing about. I'm not going to do it. Although I have fucked around and made some trackballs when I'm on some interesting benders with some friends in the back of the day. None of them worked out. In fact, we just had a bunch of melted plastic that burnt our skin quite a bit. But so with that bouncing forward more dramatically, I'm going to have to play down a club. Well, it's part of it. And then, like I said, I'm a worse putter on PGA, but that's just because I haven't had the amount of games to adjust. And some of my issues with PGA is just that since 2012, I've stood the exact same place and had the exact same everything. Well, with the deck, I noticed it at Worlds really bad. But when we were sitting below the stage, I was looking dead parallel over the top of the deck. But if you saw a Legacy machine, I wouldn't have seen the top of the deck because it's slightly less pitched. And to be honest with you, it's a good thing because not having enough pitch would cause the ball to jump the roller a bunch more, right? All right, let's play one more game. So we're going to, like I said, I like this idea. Thursdays for teaching, Mondays for seeing the new course. Obviously, there's always going to be, or Mondays for seeing the new setup on the event. I like this. Golden Tee School's in session on Thursdays, and Golden Tee Fun is on session on Mondays. Hopefully, we'll make some fun out of both of them. Maybe weekends are for Golden Tee drinking. Maybe I'll have to throw shit up during the weekend so I can drink a few times. I feel like you miss it. We're playing Bernhardt. I might play back-to-backers. Well, Jeff, now you miss your putts because you didn't recognize this through the time that you're playing through field. Am I expecting you to? No, but that's when you meet somebody that just started playing and they're keeping up with you. The one who is the fastest learner I've ever seen, Chris Thorbrogger. I mean, he became one of the best players in the world within a year of playing. Ridiculous. It was ridiculous. Those are look, you really would, for most people just getting the machine, you really just have to play it. That ball's going to take time. I hate to say it, new trackballs are fucking embarrassingly bad, right? With the design, with the quality control, not that they don't work, but you'll have batches of them that the bearings have way too much oil on it. The oil then drips out and it burns. You'll notice that you'll ever get a trackball that's got the black marks that you get black marks all over it. Well, there's 2 reasons that happens. 1, rubbing on the plastic, very uncommon. 2 is that the oil from the bearings is getting on the rollers, and the heat that it's producing is causing that oil to leave black marks on the ball. That's it, right there. If you ever open it up and take it out while you have the black shit on the rollers, like underneath the bearings, it's that reason alone, because the oil is sitting in there, the lube is sitting in there, causing it to turn into that shit. I mean, it's almost like old motor oil kind of thing. So if that's happening to me on a new trackball, I take it apart. I'll swap bearings out with the jars of bearings I have here that I've all cleaned, lubes, and degreased kind of shit. But I really hate putting in new trackballs. A lot of the times, honestly, what I would do for my trackballs for the longest time was I had a good relationship with my vendor out here, Larry Elder, the founder of Camden Amusements and Club Lucky. God rest his soul. But they would just swap them out, right? Because it's not really worth their time to do maintenance on balls. They swap it out, done. Bars are fine. Okay, cool. In and out the door. So they would have boxes and crates of old trackballs that they're getting ready to either go recycle or get rid of. And I would just take the whole boxes and be like, can I take these? Yeah, sure. And it would take about 5 old trackballs to make one perfectly, awesomely good, new, used one. And I would go with that route. I mean, in fact, in Dallas last year, our trackball had one of the laser etched balls that the trackball started breaking. So it was grindy and felt brittle, and you could feel the little marks in it. So I grabbed a new ball from Russ, but I don't want to play on a fucking not broken in new trackball in the middle of qualifying at a tournament. So I took both trackballs apart and took the parts from the new trackball, like the ball was all I really needed out of it, and put it into the old one. You'll hear Aljaz did it. I did it as well. But I took my trackballs from my legacy machine when I got the PGA and put it right in it. And then that new trackball from my PGA went in my legacy when I got rid of that. So David Cook got a brand new trackball, and I'm sure that made him happy. It would have pissed me off. I was, I mean, not getting a new trackball. I was hoping that I get that worked in ball from a good player. So really, if you can, and you have the parts, rebuilding or just dealing with individual parts when something goes wrong on trackball is a better one. But otherwise, it's just time, man. Sealing the trackball up, you can't really fuck that up too bad. The only time that it mattered with sealing the ball up is if you happen to have one of the trackballs that instead of the copper tape, it had the copper clips. They got rid of that pretty quick because somebody like myself, I got a case of 6 of them and broke the casing, the plastic casing on all 6 of them within 2 hours because it wasn't sealed correctly. But the 6 screws or the 8 screws that go around the inside of the trackball, done. Otherwise, I'm not even using a torque wrench. All I'm doing on that yeah, okay. Well, but for all I'm doing on the deck screws, the 4 deck screws there, is I am tightening them down until the lock washer fully compresses. No more than that. If anything, even a little less than that, but no more than that. So I don't know torque rating. I can do basic handyman stuff, but I don't know those numbers. Not a field of expertise. Yeah, see, I would have kept the old new trackballs. Sorry, there isn't a new trackball that I've ever gotten that just was broken. But I mean, if it was something was bad on like one of the boards, it would be the only thing that could really be broken, or the wiring harness could have been pinched in there when they were in production, kind of thing. But I just save all the parts. Like, dude, I don't throw trackballs away unless they're so far gone. If there's rust or corrosion on the inside, that fucker's going away. Right? But otherwise, I'm keeping all my parts because I can use them again. I mean, if you look, I've got rollers, bearings, flywheels. Now, mind you, this came from about 50 different trackballs, and this is all the pieces that I can get from it. So, I mean, you're going to find, guys, you make it, everybody's like, oh, my new trackball sucks. We all know. Like, it's a known thing. None of us whine to, nobody are like, I got a new track. You never hear, oh, I got a new trackball. No one's ever said that. They're like, fuck, I gotta put a new trackball in. It's one of those things that's rare in life that the newest isn't the best. So that will cause a change if the boards go bad, I just swap the board. The little optical boards, I'll swap them out. I mean, really, the only time I ever need to change a trackball is if it's gotten so old that the grooves have gotten too deep. Then you can't really do anything. It's too hard to move it directionally. But I implore you all, do not listen to people to tell you to remove the copper tape. It is a very bad move. It most likely won't do anything. You could actually ruin your machine. You could actually fry the I/O board, and then you're out of a GoldenTeeTV machine for a couple weeks while IT will replace it, but they're going to wait for you to get it to them. They refurbish it and send it back to you. It wasn't always like that, but now the parts were harder for them to get, so they started doing it that way. But it's it. I mean, I'm not an electronics expert at all, but I know, fuck, dude. One, if you're touching things that have electricity, that the electricity runs through it, fucking turn the power off first. You don't know how many people I've helped with their machines. And I was like, what are you doing? What were you doing when this happened? Well, I was changing the trackball. Or I was cleaning the inside of the trackball. And I go, did you shut off the machine? No. Did you unplug the trackball? No. And I was like, well, we're going to stop here because you got to call IT because your I/O board's fried. 100% the answer. Okay, so the chush, you're saying, the chush shot. Yeah, I think that we'll go into that one ad nauseum on Thursday and next week. But the basic premise is there's a multitude of ways to hit it 35 miles per hour, but your goal is to hit 35 miles per hour. Or what other people can, if you can hit 40 on the dot straight every time, that's fine too. You just adjust your distances accordingly. But it's just, I use this one thumb technique like this, right? Now, lately, last couple days have been bad, but that's probably just me. I used to use a method like this. But what I found with this is the deck surface, if it was sticky or more slippery than what I was used to, I couldn't do it. Like at tournaments, I couldn't do it. Then you got a lot of people that use the two thumbs from the top. I found this to be a little problematic. I was always a little too hard. You got people that use two thumbs from the back, two thumbs from the middle. You got to find a way that's comfortable for you and practice hitting at 35. The great thing about that is you could just start a game on casual. Forget about a hole or anything. Forget about a club. Just keep doing taps on it until you can start getting it 35 and straight. And keep doing it. Go through an entire round. I'd recommend not using a swiped in count while doing it because you're going to get stroke limits on every hole and somebody's going to say you're tanking your handicap. We don't want that, right, Jason? We don't want people talking shit about tanking handicap. Oh my God, I thought I was on a 5. Wait, what the fuck was that? No, I was on a 5-wood. I was absolutely on a 5-wood. Okay. Okay. No, I was saying about somebody brought it up recently about you don't want people thinking you're taking your handicap. I'm kind of pissed off right now. There's no way that should have happened. Was I not on a 5-wood at one point there? I swear to God, I stopped on the 5-wood, looked away, and then hit my shot with a high when I thought it was a 5-wood, and it was a 4-wood. Yeah, if people think you're cheating at Golden Tee, it's really hard to not be ostracized by the community. Even though there's a large contingent of people that cheat that nobody cares about. Yeah, see, now I don't even really care about what happens this game because Bernhardt, this has been too easy. I'm not going to beat Bernhardt with this. Oh, what do we got here? Okay, this is an interesting look. You are the best thing. Baby cut, whippy out. Oh, get out of here, Bama. Have a good night, my man. Nobody ever cares if your handicap is too high, Jason. But and that's fine too. None of that matters. And in fact, DNFing games actually will increase your handicap if you do not finish the hole you fucked up on. If you played the hole out and put it in, that's the only time it affects your handicap. So that's been a problem in some regards for people like myself. Like, we'll get artificially inflated handicaps because... Oh, wow, okay, good. I did switch it, okay. It was unintentional. Honestly, the handicap system is not very good. But what it is good at doing is letting me know to almost 100% certainty when someone is cheating. Right? Because the multiplier it goes up 3 times as fast as it goes down. Meaning that for every 1 stroke you go up, in order to drop that much off your handicap, you need to be 3 strokes worse than your handicap to go down. I think it's every 1 stroke up. It might even be worse than I think 1 stroke up, it's 0.36. If you're 1 stroke higher than your handicap, it raises at 0.36. If you're 1 stroke down, it doesn't change it at all. If you say 3 strings, if you drop 3 strokes down, 3 strokes drops your handicap 0.18, I believe is the number. And I might have the number slightly off, but it's something like that. Meaning that if someone's handicap, if they shoot a 3 better against you, like you play in a handicap match, they shoot a -5, and the next one they shoot a -5 as well. No, I think it's 3. I don't think you're right, Biddy. In fact, I can tell you're not right. I could prove it right now, and I don't want to be tanking handicap. I think it's 3. No, every 1 stroke goes up. It goes up too. That's 100%. And it might be 0.18 going up too, but it's definitely 1 stroke it goes up and 3 strokes it goes down. Okay, well, a link doesn't tell me that you're right. If it's going to be a link from a skipper type, and it's hard for me to definitely trust everything someone says when they've played as long as me and have gotten not even any bit better at the game. You're not doing something correct, and what you're thinking is wrong if you're not getting better over 20 years. Sorry, it's true. Although now he could teach the game. He teaches the basics pretty well. Okay, a Golden Tee fan from Eric Nelson. It might be more correct, but I know it's 1 stroke changes it going up, but 1 stroke down does not change it at all. Well, but see, that's the thing. There should be no real such thing as a drunk handicap with how big a multiply. All right, now you want me to prove something here. Now, are you saying at the end of a round, at 5 strokes? And I'm not saying that might not be correct. That might be right, but I know. There's only one time that it's actually viable when if let's say I do an ultimate cycle. At one point during the ultimate cycle, when the years are well, it's because you DNF'd when you weren't going to 2. Ooh, barely. But it's just so you have to play so many games bad, and 1 good game fixes it, right? So that's the thing, though. You have a I call it the dead errors of Golden Tee, where every course had a par of 26. So you shoot 24s on them across the board, and your 30 handicap drops down to a 28. It's every game. It doesn't do the... we have one point in time we thought it was your best 10 and worst 10 out of your last 30. Isn't that something how it's calculated for real golf? And actually, handicaps in Golden Tee are calculated by hole. No, see that... I don't think that formula is right, man. Because Handicap and Golden Tee is done per hole. It's a per hole game. So your handicap, yeah, it's per hole. It's calculated per hole. And I'm sorry, I still think one of the most illegal things that happens in Golden Tee has to do with the handicap invites, right? Because the only reason we're allowed to do these, right, where a lot more states would call this gambling and not allow online play against each other in contests. But I believe one of the parts to it not being gambling is you know the odds when you get into it, meaning it's a game of skill. The problem with handicap invites is it does not lock my handicap from the time that I accept it, right? So, and I've said this to them for years, that literally most people will play their invites in an order conducive to what they're playing. If my handicap is low right now, then I play my handicap invite first. But if it's high right now, I will play my games that have low Golden Tee pars that are, whether they're handicapped or not, so that my handicap comes down some, and then I go and play the handicap invite, which, I mean, guys, that means that the odds that I accepted the contest at have changed dramatically from the time that I play the handicap. I can prove that wrong, but I can't really. Next stream, I'll be proving that wrong. And there is a max too. Like, it doesn't matter if you shoot a plus 72 or a plus 10, they do affect it the same way. How can I prove this? Okay, I'll stroke limit hole 1 and DNF, and I bet my handicap changes. Absolutely not, Keith. And it's actually something I've designed and offered it to them, a slope rating per course, so that your handicap gets affected by a percentage on the slope rating. Like, you know, real golf. But no, it's not at all. It's funny too, because the amount of more games that people play of Golden Tee compared to real golf, there could be ways to write the handicap formula that you would have a much even way more accurate handicap than real golf even. The way the difficulty gets taken into account, it's kind of weird, but difficulty does not matter as much. Golden Tee par is what matters the most when it comes to handicap per course. Like Eagles Crest, a par of 22 on that course makes it virtually impossible for me to go back and win a handicap match, because I'm going in with it 8 strokes better than my handicap to shoot par. Doesn't make sense, does it? It doesn't matter how hard or easy that course is. I might have to change to a 9.5 on this course now, because that tee box, we've never, season 1 tee boxes for this, I don't think we've ever seen it on some of the old courses, because there was a glitch in programming back in the day that they were not having. There was a glitch in programming that the game was on older courses. There was a formula problem that it was reverting to the same tee boxes all the time, because there was a marker in there that was not allowing more than like 9 combinations, so it would just fail the programming and then go back to one of those 9. Now they fixed it. They found the glitch in the code and fixed it, so now every course has the seasons minus remastered. They don't incorporate those. I'm really hopeful that once we get rid of legacy and everything's PGA, we're going to get a better focus on everything, so that we get rid of a lot of glitches and they can take the time to fix the plethora of issues on the list that I've given. And that doesn't even account for a lot of the other ones. But I look at the game differently than what I think that their impression right away. And I mean, put it this way: the owners of the company hated that people were playing it to make a living. They hated it. The Hutchins hated it. They didn't want that at all, right? Which is kind of stupid because they made money off of it. But my God, whatever. So they wanted it to be a casual game. So a lot of these minute details that are problems that when you get to a certain level, they're major problems, are not considered problems on that end. Also, the code is so goddamn old that I'm finding developers that can work in those codes a little bit out of the ordinary for them. All right, I got one more. I'm still feeling talkative. I still got that talkative going. Hey, you guys, everybody boo FKB56. He's the one that made me pause earlier. He called me. He's why I had to stop my entertainment. Yeah, Frank, they came out last year, and I was like, and that course with that safari with sticky sand now, dude, I got stuck in some spots that there was nowhere I could go off of it. What are we here? I'll let you guys pick. Last game of the night, we'll let you pick. Yeah, so boo Keith, guys. Boo FKB. I like to call him Fuckboy56. That's what I thought it meant. I was like, wow, dude, that's pretty aggressive. For your stature in the community, having a name like that, what were you doing while you were younger, sir? That's the one I should play. In fact, we're going to play it. I don't care about what you want. It's what I want. Jason. Okay, if you're, I'm reading this. That minus midpoint. All right, I got to read the whole thing, and that's going to take me a minute. To disprove things like that, I actually have to understand what he's writing. No, that's not very odd. That makes sense because there is no limit going up. It doesn't limit you going up. I'm sorry. Yeah, going up, it doesn't limit you. Your handicap can go up. I don't, or else the limit's much higher. I've never seen it or heard of anybody hitting a limit on how much it can go up in one game. But there's a max that it can go down. Another reason why, if someone's handicap, if they keep shooting -5 handicap scores, like to their handicap, they are fucking cheating. There is no doubt. It is impossible. Statistically, mathematically, humanly, impossible. They are playing an invite with you, shooting a good score, then playing a casual game, and fucking tanking their handicap down. I mean, that's why I'm saying. Well, so since it's per hole, so you were 2 better, and you had eagles on both. So they kind of calculate something. You shot a 36 under. Because it will go out and compare it to the rest of the round. So you were 4 under through 2 holes, right? Imagine if you aced a par 5 your first hole and then got rebooted. That would mean that the game would think you shot a 64 under. So that would go up the most it could possibly go. That would be literally the most a game could go. You could go up in one game. A hole in one on a par 5 and then a DNF. Oh, absolutely. And honestly, for the most part, 90% of our players don't do that. It's very rare that I catch, but if I somehow happen to be sitting there, I don't know, doing a little stinker tinker, sitting on the toilet fucking around with and reading some stuff, and I start going through like repeating invites or some of the larger groups to see who has the highest win rates in places, if somebody has a dramatically higher win rate in a group handicap tournament, they're cheating. It's that simple. They're cheating. Somebody should be the purpose of the handicap is to make it equal, but the better player should still have a slight advantage. In Golden Tee, it doesn't. It really doesn't. The handicaps, if course par is so low, the worse handicap has a much higher advantage. People always talk about, oh, I don't want to play Baja handicap. It's such an easy course. But I'd rather play Baja handicap than Coral Ridge, right? Where par is 23 half the time. I can't win those. If my opponent plays just birdie golf, I cannot win. And anybody with a handicap in the 20s should be able to play close to birdie golf on a consistent basis. Yeah, exactly. Straight. No, don't get on. Okay, good. We're not on. 19. All right, so now I'm going to chush this. Let's talk about how I'm going to do it. So I take my yardage there, right? I find the club that 20% of the club is that yardage. 20% is roughly, it's about a 38 mile per hour shot. So for me, since I'm 35, I'm actually looking at about 18% of my club distance. But 18% is a harder number to calculate, right? 20% is really easy. So 20% of this, I mean, I'm just multiplying the number by 2, would be that club. Now, the problem here is you don't even carry half the distance in the air. I'm going to hit the rough. So I have to go up a couple clubs. You bring in rollovers then a little bit and some lip outs. So this one is closer. That would be 28 yards at 20%. I need a little more. Let's go with the 5. 32 should be fine. Won't lip out because I don't have a much crosswind, but I might hit the edge here, so this chush might not work. Let's try it. I didn't see what my miles per hour was. Did anybody catch it? I think it was it should have been 35. Might have been 36, 37. And you can control chushes like that. So if you imagine that 20% is your number, you really can't make a chush going to 60 is 62. Right. So that's real close. That's good. 35, 36, fine. When I'm at the 38s or higher, I'm hitting it too hard and I muscle spasmed a little bit. But if you do that 20% number, do 20% of the 310 driver, it's 62 yards. And then come to find out that you actually chush shorter with the longer the club, it's on the surface longer, so it slows down faster. 20% of the number, the distance of your club that it says over here. So you have to know that the number is wrong on the 9-wood. But if I look at my 9-wood, I look and go, that's a 200-yard club. 20% of that, 40 yards is my chush distance on that. But I'm at 18%, so I'm a 30 to 35 number. 30 to 35 for my 9-wood. Then you also have to start learning too, and we'll go into this more detail on balls that are rolling on the green longer, slow down faster than a ball in the air, right? Obviously. So you lose more distance as you go up and go slower. Why, Jason? Why though? Yeah, well, it's a good way to pick your club. For me though, I get my 20% number and then know that I hit shorter and I'm going up at least one club. Remember, you can't make a chush if it doesn't get there. So you want to err on the side of more speed than less. The times you got to start being careful is when you're going too much speed and there's a decent sized wind on a longer shot, because you hit the edges of the hole then. If you hit the edge of the hole going at a high speed, it lips out, just like a putt would. But we'll go through this a little bit and give you a good spot with it too. Jason, I gotta tell you, I'm going upstairs. I'm gonna smoke. I'm gonna hit the weed pen a little bit. I'm going to veg out for a second, take a look at some paperwork I got, and then I'm going to bed, dude. I'm going for some me time. I might have some private me time to do private me things. I need that for myself sometimes. So, to be quite frank, I've told you already, you're so wrong with the red tees being easier. It makes majority of the time it makes them easier, but it doesn't make all holes easier. It's why we want to play mixed tees on when we're trying to have the max scores, because then it can open up all the holes. Oh, shit. Your boy Shawnee was here. The only time that the tee boxes are dramatically easier on casual tee boxes. You might as well just play casual, Jason. I did not get to many invites today, though, because we were kind of doing a teaching thing. This hole, I missed the nerfed 9-wood because it was really easy to hit a 9-wood high at that distance. Now I'm thinking I can hit a high 5-iron, but we're going to hit the high 9, and we're going to cut it down a bit. Now, by backing it up on the box, I think I'm bringing the middle trees in play. Little baby cut. That was a little different. Normally I swoop it both ways, but I didn't have a lot of space to work with. And to be quite frank, I don't really, after spending 3 hours talking Golden Tee and me talking, I really don't want to talk to anybody, to be quite frank. I love you all, but I just don't really want to. You know what I mean? I know we all have that same thing. You're around people all day. Sometimes you want to just vent out. What sucks is I don't get anybody talking back to me, so I don't have pauses. It's not as fun. Like, I don't have breaks. Even though you guys know me, I probably don't. In real life, I probably wouldn't be having many breaks talking either. Well, I'm going to tell you, stop thinking and start playing the damn game. Stop thinking about what tees you're on. Log in, hit random tees, play the fucking game. Take whatever score you get. I honestly, Jason, with you, I'm so sick of fucking hearing about your handicap and you on the red tees. Why are you the only one that does that? Literally the only one. You're wrong. Stop it. You're not playing the game correctly. That's why people rag on you. We've all told you, you don't listen. I don't want to hear about it anymore, to be perfectly frank with you. There's only so many times you can tell someone something until you just got to say, fuck it. You're on your own, man. You will not give a good reason. Your reasons are not good. You're wrong. Stop doing it. Otherwise, don't bring it up around me. That's all. I don't know. Good man. That's my man right there. No, guy, come on. Jason, I know there has been a tendency to either pick on you or coddle you. There's no in between. Well, I'm the fucking in between. I won't pick on you, maybe a little bit. Obviously, for stuff like that, I'm not going to pick on you for stuff that's out of your control, brother. I'll pick on you for doing stupid shit like everyone should pick on me. Cool. But I'm also not going to baby you anymore, man. You're an adult. You know what you're doing. Fucking... You know the answers. Now, if you have something serious going on in life or anything like that that you need advice on, I'm all ears, my man. But I don't want to rehash all the things that we've talked about for the last 3 years. It just doesn't do it for me, my man. And the only reason I say this to you is out of love, man. It's out of love. I mean, I know that when I was younger, and my mom had to tell me the same thing over and over again, it eventually got back to, oh, Brittany, I'm so glad that you chimed in. I haven't heard I haven't seen your beautiful voice in a while. Oh. Later, Brado, man. Happy to have you guys. Get some questions for me too. I want to go off on topics. It's where I'm at. Do my best work. I'm not a planner. I don't. Although I can do very well public speaking, but I like to read a room. I think if I went down to Matty B's Funny Bone, I would definitely be the Matt Rife type of crowd work guy, right? Oh, come on. Jay, they're both punk bitches, dude. If I picture that fight, I know that, guys, this is going to sound a little off color, but this is not my thoughts. This is but I could picture that. Do you guys remember, did anybody watch Chappelle's show? I know we all did, right? If we watched those fight, right? That fight would have been one that would have been on the Chappelle Show skit for the Friday night sissy fights. That would be what that would be. Friday night sissy fights. Yeah, must quit crush him though. If we're really, I fucked this up too. What did I do here? So now, let's talk about the cutting out of the rough, right? Slap. Okay. I'm in heavy rough, so this is going to be a little different. We're already got to play up clubs. My club of choice to hit this one would probably be a 9. When I say in rough, if you're going to try to cut out of the rough, right? No, Francois. Pullback, no pullback shots. No, I could see a day in the future that game modes, they would have certain game modes, but that kind of dramatic thing won't happen. Yeah, Musk would kill him, but I just picture that fight. So this is my club of choice, right? But if you cut out of the rough, it doesn't go anywhere. It's 2 clubs, 1, 2. Okay, I got a 7. I don't know if heavy rough is going to do the same thing. But here is what you need to know about cutting out of the rough. It doesn't cut a lot. So you almost have to double the amount of cut you're going to put on a shot. This one, I'm even going to hit a full C. Now, the key here is if you aim this out directionally with the way you pulled it back, the ball just hangs that way. It won't turn. But if you hit it straight, you'll get about half of what you normally did. So I'm going to hit this straight. And heavy rough didn't dumb it down much at all, but you saw it cut a ton, and I still got a little bit of distance out of it, right? Great way to do it. Now, obviously, when I do this, it's like my math with, if I'm going to hit 1 branch, it's 2 clubs. If I'm going to hit 2 branches, it's 3 clubs. So it's roughly 1.5 club lengths per branch that you hit. It was useful back in the day on some shots that we had to do that on. It is not an exact science, but it's a really good way to get yourself the best opportunity to hit something goofy. Yeah, no pullback shots, but, well, yeah, they will get, actually, I'm going to 100% say stouts are going to be gone here within 2 years. Oh my, I thought I was in the heavy rough again. I just totally didn't pay attention. Wow. Bernhardt just got 2 free wins because I'm talking on the stream. And now my hands have gotten sticky. What's going on, right? Stouts will be gone in 2 to 3 years. 100% gone. Yes. No, stouts are going to be gone. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at, straight. All right, who thinks I can get this on the green, right? Francois, target rush is the most bangery of banger modes ever. It is going to die, and it is a fucking terrible idea. They took an idea of mine, bastardized it to the point that I would never want to take credit for that bullshit. I'm sorry, it is a horrid game mode. Money Shot, in my opinion, is bad, but I get the allure and the love of it. Target Rush is 4 bangers. It really is. Who in their right mind designs a game mode that the most shots basically wins? So the average player has 0 chance of playing it. It is stupid. Now, maybe playing it against a buddy there, but in competition, you have no chance against the people that you're playing against. They are already ruining it as a game mode. It's fucking going to be dead by the time that PGA is fully updated around the country. No, it's just that the stouts are gone, but they're gone in 2 to 3 years when Legacy goes away. Brittany, I would have said it was a 98% certainty it was in Chicago this year. And then something happened because of, I gotta say, I've never heard of another place having like all of their plans change all of the time. Like, oh, the jerseys fell through. Oh, we had to change locations. Orleans fell through. Oh, Harris fell through. Oh, Caesars fell through. Oh, Rivers fell through. Why? Do we not see here that like the commonality is? It's like my mom used to say, like, you got to stop hanging around with the bad group of friends. So I'd hang out with a different group. She'd say the same damn thing. Finally, she realized it was me fucking up. It wasn't everyone else. So let's make that same correlation with what happens there. I have to say, it can't be anybody else but that. You know, like, it just doesn't, none of it makes sense. I think I'm going to stick this screen, guys. Oh, Titans are if without Stout's half win, Titans are the single best ball that's ever been made, okay? Oh, shit, Jay. Not upgrading either. Or is he now? Did he get reinvigorated? Get up. Oh, come on. Now, see, this course was the first time people putt, and go figure, it was putts. Paul Taylor was the first one to pull out 2 drivers, and we all laughed at him. Then everybody started doing it, and I laughed at them. I was like, the 8.5 and the 9.5 and the 10.5 are way too close. They're not. Well, I decided to make a bag with the 9.5, the 8.5. It was all there were. It was excused there. Well, part of it was the lack of planning. Then something may have happened at one venue, but not 5. What pisses me off most with this, guys, is that, yes, Roy. No, Roy. I did. I was back. And how did you message me? Because I've been looking through to message you back, and I can't find your message anywhere. The only thing I found was on YouTube, but I swear we were messaging back and forth, but there's no messages from you on either Messenger or on text. So if it was on Messenger, shoot me another one. It is gone. I thought you had me on Messenger. Yeah, I was going to send you rollers when I got back, and I even had a note in my phone that alerted me when I got back to send it the next day. And I went to find you, and I can't find you on any messaging app. I'm glad, though. It can't be YouTube, though. It couldn't have been. It was an email? Okay, you emailed me. Just shoot me a text here. I hate to say it, guys. I don't put this out there much, but anybody who's here, just make sure if you save this if you need anything. This is my home. This is my cell. I sleep pretty well, except to my ringer. So if you text me real late, text me. Don't call me. If you honestly, don't call me. Just don't call me. That's it. I'll tell you if I need you to call me once you tell me what your problem is or your question is, or I'll call you. But yeah, that's it right there. You just don't get too crazy here. Just shoot me a text, Roy, and we'll get everything squared away. I won't be able to get out tomorrow, but I'll get it out. I'll go out and send it out on Saturday. unless I put it in regular snail mail. But I don't think, when I tried to send boards through snail mail, it kept getting sent back. Like they thought it was something, a negative package, like a bad package. Like my wife says about my penis. Bad package. Got the bad package, mouth. Ah. Mm-hmm. And here's the hole that I missed a 40-foot flat putt on to allow Fox to tie me and go to a sudden death where to win player of the year after I'd already dipped him once. Yeah, possibly, man. I'm really looking into it. I want to go somewhere, but I do have to be, I probably have to be in Dallas for something around the time of the player of the year. And I'm figuring to myself, well, I've already qualified for player of the year. Might as well go get some free money while I'm there. And now that it's PGAs, I definitely, that's one problem that I've had. The other ones, I guess I could swallow my pride for money. Yeah, and I'm out as well, guys. So it's been a good night. Like I said, I like this plan. If anybody's got any ideas, but I'm going to go Mondays for playing and just going through the new content that releases. And then Thursdays, we'll go through more of a Golden Tee 101. We kind of did the 101 tonight. We're going to get into some higher level stuff. We'll start going in more to the ins and outs of cuts, explain how I do it. But really, there's such a personal relationship to those kind of shots and how you play it. I've got a way that works best for me, might work best for you. But you might need to, you might take it. The goal here is, like in the words of Tupac, I'm not going to be the mind to inspire I'm not going to be the mind to change the world. I'm going to be a mind that inspires the youth to change the world. And that's what I want to do. No, I don't mind, man. I don't mind. My phone, it's already out there. I leave it attached to Facebook too. I leave that open. It's part of the pluses and minuses. Yeah, I saw it, Roy. I'll get to you here in a second. But we'll see, and we'll go through we'll start going through that more. I love that I got a lot of new guys in here that we haven't seen much. Yeah, chipping help is another interpersonal thing, but we'll go through my theory behind it. And it's actually, I got a really step-by-step process. The only step I can't do is you doing it, the more and getting it down. But with the shot meter, you will not fall into the traps that I did where I have hitches in there that I can't correct now. When I try to, it just fucks up the rest. Oh, how do you not, man? Actually, we went back and we were watching, well, I was watching Dave. I'm a big Little Dicky fan, so I watched Dave a little bit. But then my wife and I went through the Tupac documentary on Hulu. It was actually really good. Yeah, man, I miss him more for the fact. Look, there was a 50-50 chance that guy would have been an inspirational political figure that changed the world for good, or an inspirational figure that for short term changed it for very bad, that caused a lot of problems that eventually got good. But that was a smart motherfucker, guys. That dude, he was out there, man. He was crazy, almost too smart for his own good, as my mother would say. But we are going to call it a night. Been a pleasure having you all. We'll see you guys on Monday for certain. Start class on Monday, so I might be dejected and hating all of you. But we'll see you again then. Love y'all. Word of mouth's out. Good night.